Joe Rogan Podcast. Check it out.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
Train by day, Joe Rogan Podcast by night, all day.
We're up. Hey, Michael Malice. How are you, my friend?
I am doing outstanding.
Always good to see you.
No one's ever said that to me before.
I love you. Come on, man. That's not
no one's
true.
ever said that
I think
either.
I've said it. You know I love you. What's in the box, man? What's in the box?
So Alfred Hitchcock,
Yeah.
great film director,
Love Alfred Hitchcock's
made
movies.
this comment about the difference between surprise and suspense, right?
Yes.
So surprise is a bomb goes off. There's 5 seconds of surprise. People are like, okay, what happened? Suspense is when the audience knows something that the characters don't. So you have Cary Grant drinking tea with his girlfriend, and there's a bomb under the table. And for 10 minutes, they're just perfectly calm, and there's a bomb. So you are a lot nicer to your audience than I am, which is probably why you're a lot more popular than I am. So can we wait like 5 minutes before we show what's in the box?
Sure. We can wait an hour. I don't give a fuck.
Okay. We have a fun surprise.
We
in
got
the
all
box.
day.
This is from one of the many friends I've met here in Austin, and every opportunity I have to talk about how much I love Austin, I will absolutely fucking take. I am so giddy to be here. I'll tell you this story. A couple of my friends just came to visit. I've known them since high school, Andrea and Annette. And they reminded me of this story that they had done when they were in their 30s, old enough to know better. So there's a city in Ohio called Twinsburg. Have you heard of this?
No.
So Twinsburg every year has twin parades. And you can go when you're twins and march in the parades and hang out with other twins. Andrea and Annette, who are unrelated and don't look alike at all, decided, you know what we're going to do? We're going to just go and pass off as identical twins, even though you can go there as fraternal twins. There may have been some fake birth certificates involved. I can't say that for legal reasons.
Do you have to show birth certificates to get in the parade?
Well, if you're going to march as identical twins and register as them, you have to show birth certificates. Now, mind you, they could have gone for free, but they decided to pay the money to go as identical twins. So they got the same haircuts, dressed the same. They took part in medical research. So if you still have cancer, it's because of them. And they ended up marching in the identical twin parade with all the black people for some reason.
Okay.
So it's just...
What does it have to do with the box?
It's just, these are just friends of mine who are just here visiting Austin. What's in the box is made from some other people that I was friends here in Austin. The point being, everyone's coming through here just week after week. I want to give you an update. Bridget Fedesi is closed in her house.
Yeah, she's a good friend of mine.
Yeah, and mine too. Her husband Jaron's going to be staying with me in 2 weeks while he checks out the updates. So it's Deborah So's going to be here visiting in May.
Oh, is she really?
Yes.
She's escaped from Canada?
She's escaping from Canada.
Did they let her come over here?
And she'll be able to be here in May.
So right now, you can't fly in unless you're vaccinated, correct?
I think America's the only country where that is the situation.
Protecting us, Michael.
It's
keeping us protected.
It's legal to come here if you have COVID, but not if you're not vaccinated.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's just absolutely crazy. But May 11th, people will be able to come here and absolutely visit.
Thank God they're waiting until May because it's March.
They postponed
you need
it,
a
too.
couple of months.
They
to really
postpo-
make sure you got it ready.
It was supposed to be April. They postponed it till May. So, I mean, are you not loving what's been happening with this city?
Yeah, I love the city.
And it's thanks
really
to you
do.
in large part, don't you think?
I don't know. I'm very happy if anybody thinks that, but it's just an amazing city. We're very lucky to be here. It's really special. It's very unusual.
I feel like we're in unprecedented times because this is the only time in American history, to my knowledge, where a red state is going to be a cultural center. Because you remember, like New York in the 70s, Paris in the 20s. Obviously, Paris is another country. But when you have all these different groups Venn diagramming together, it becomes something bigger than the sum of its parts. So we've got the biohacker people here. We've got the Bitcoin people here. We've got the Whole Foods crowd, the Kuya crowd, your Honor people. You got the podcasters. You've got the comedians. It's
amazing.
And
musicians.
It's not even against the music. Yeah, the music capital of the world.
Incredible. The music here is incredible. It's so good.
And it's so accessible.
Yeah, you can go out any night. There's bars on 6th Street on any night that have amazing bands playing. That's how we found out about Ellis Bullard. What is that place called? The White what? The White Horse? What's that bar called? Sounds right. I think it's the White Horse. Cool little fucking bar. Like real cool, like little fucking shitty pool table and And there's like maybe 15, 20 people in there. And there's this honky-tonk dude on stage. And I'm like, this guy is fucking amazing. His band's incredible. I'm like, how good is this music?
And the thing I'm really happy about here as opposed to New York or LA is people are appreciative of being here. They're not too cool for school.
Right.
There's none of this like, ugh, you know, my friend Lux, she had this great line about if you are asked about an app, just say, oh, I was on that for a while. It sucked. So like you could just pass, you could pass at any party. Oh yeah, I tried that for a while. It sucked. But we don't have that here. People are actually enthusiastic.
I think
the comedy scene here is amazing.
The comedy scene here is insane.
I just saw Neil Hamburger a couple weeks ago. Got
nice.
my favorite comedian.
He's funny, man.
Oh
that dude's very funny.
He's my absolute
He
hero.
opened up for Louis once. I saw him at the Irvine Improv, and I was like, dude, that guy's so good.
Did they get it?
Yeah. Well, there's comedy fans there.
Okay.
You know, it's like, first of all, I think first of all, if he's opening up for Louis, he's going to be really funny.
Right.
Like, Louis has some oddball people open up for him. Like, he had Jay London open up for him in L.A. Do you know who Jay London is?
No.
Jay London is a guy I did my very first show with, like, on I think it was like VH1 or something like that. Or maybe it might not have even been that good of a network. It's one of those, like, shitty stand-up spotlight something shows. And he was on Last Comic Standing. And for a while, like, caught some heat. He's a very eccentric guy. Like, when I met him out here in L.A., I met him in New York, and then I saw him out here in L.A. in, like, 2000, 2001, around there. And then when I met him, he was, like, selling stuff on the street. Like, he was selling, like, after September 11th, he was selling, like, American flags, because everybody was putting American flags in their car, like the suction cup ones.
Yeah.
So he's, like, this fucking strange sort of character, but he's really funny. And he brings, like, his notes on stage, and he's always embarrassed about his jokes, and he hides. That's Jay.
Oh, okay, yeah. I've seen him.
You know, so, like, Louis has, like, these odd duck people open up for him, and Jay's hilarious. And he had Neil Hamburger open up for him. So everybody who's a Louis fan is kind of knows. If you're opening up for Louis because he asked you to.
Yeah, one time I saw Neil doing a residency, I think at the Satellite in L.A., and there was this basic bitch on a date in front of me with her boyfriend. And I told the story 20 times, and she turns to him and she goes, "What is this?" And I'm like, that is the exact right reaction.
Well, if you don't know, you just think, oh my God, what have I stumbled into? You know?
But I'm surprised there. I mean, I love that kind of alt comedy stuff. I think it's just something that's just a little bit out there. Kurt Metzger, who I'm buddies with.
I love Kurt.
Of course, he's open for Louis too. I think
he's amazing.
I just saw him here. It's the funny thing is with these comedians, as you obviously know, is that it's one thing when you're hanging out and someone's funny, that you go on stage and it's a whole other level. And he had this, I was watching him at the Creek in the Cave, and he just goes, yeah, so my back's been hurting me a lot recently, so we're going to be talking about that for the next 20 minutes. I'm like, why is that so fucking funny?
It's funny coming from him. It's coming from him. He's got a very unique sense of humor. He's so smart, too. He's like, and he's a guy, you know, he grew up as I believe it was a Jehovah's Witness, right? Yeah. So he grew up in a religious cult. And he is, like, not buying it. Like, whenever there's any kind of group think going on or any kind of, he's like, I know what this is. I know what this is. Get the fuck out of here with this. He's the best at calling that. He's so good at that because I would imagine, I don't have that experience, but I would imagine if you had that experience of growing up in a fucking religious cult and then escaping, then realize, like, oh my God, these are regular people. Regular people get caught up in mind viruses. Like, we always want to look at people in a cult and go, well, that would never be me. I'm too smart for that. These fucking morons. Why do they believe that guy? We're all susceptible. All of us are.
It's easier to train a smart dog than a dumb one. And especially the appeal of the cult is you have this hidden arcane knowledge that the normies don't. And this is going to feed into your sense of intelligence and self-importance. It's like you're one of the ones in the know, and everyone else has blinders on.
And you can be really aggressive about enforcing your opinion because you know it's right.
Oh, right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a thing that people are doing that they did during the pandemic and they do about any issue that's controversial, whether it's abortion or whether it's guns or anything. It's like the people, instead of, like, talking about it like these are the pros and cons. This is what's going on. This is where I could understand why you would think like this. This is why I think like that, and just try to work it out. It always becomes this like very vicious attack on your mental capacity, on your thought process, your education. You immediately, they want to classify you in some sort of a category where they could dismiss you, whether it's sexist or racist or transphobic or whatever. They just throw you in an out group and start screaming at you. And it's the most unproductive way to communicate. And I think it's also a product of social media that we need to be really careful about, because it's changing the way people interact with each other.
Well, I think it's more a function of evolutionary psychology, because if I'm low status and I have no opportunity to, raise my rank in terms of kind of whatever long-term mating, this gives me an excuse. Now I'm in a position to tell Joe Rogan, Mr. Podcaster celebrity, that I'm better than him. So right away, without having to do any of the work building the audience, I'm leapfrogging over you because I understand drug protocols better than Joe, who went to the veterinarian and just took something off the shelf and just injected into his veins.
Yes. Yeah, definitely it's that too. There's like many factors, but that's definitely one of the factors why people get aggressive and attack famous people. But it's not just famous people. They do it to people that any person who has an ideology that's different than them. People on the right do it too.
Of course they do.
Everybody does it. It's a natural part of human. That's why you're seeing these bizarre shifts. Like the left, when I was a kid, when my stepfather was a hippie, and we grew up in San Francisco in the 70s during the Vietnam War.
Oh, okay.
So I was like surrounded by, like, all my neighbors were gay. Everyone was an artist. There was all these fucking weirdos. It's like ideologies like this, like whatever we're doing, whether it's right or left, they get it. It's like everybody just gets locked into a group mindset for some strange reason. And if you don't agree with everything in that group mindset, they can just fucking dismiss you.
Right.
They just completely dismiss you.
They're looking for filters to not have to listen to anything you say further. I have pronouns in my bio on Twitter because if you're this type of conservative who thinks, pronouns in bio, I don't have to listen to anything this guy has to say, I don't want to be talking to you anyway, if that's how your mind works. So right away, it's going to alienate me from that audience. It also works because if you're someone who is on the other camp and you see pronouns in my Twitter bio, you're going to perceive me as part of your team and you're going to listen to what I have to say. So it works in both directions. But instead of listening to, does this person have a point? Is this true? Is it false? It's immediately, should I be listening to anything they further have to say? Now,
can I dismiss them immediately with one word or one phrase?
I mean, anyone who likes this can't possibly. Well, it's like stupid people make good points all the time.
So when I was a kid, the left was all about freedom of speech and freedom of expression. And, if you were like a person who never vaccinated your children, you would be much more likely to be on the left. You were someone who didn't trust pharmaceutical companies.
Right.
You were someone who wanted.
Yep.
Hippies were all about like healthy food. Like there was a lot of the hippie stuff was stupid, but a lot of the hippie stuff was. It's not that it was stupid. It doesn't work without discipline. It doesn't work without exceptional people who work hard to discipline and then share with each other. Like you can't just everybody share with everybody because there's a natural human inclination to not do anything if you don't have to do anything, especially when you're young. It's not good for the development of a human being to give them everything they want when they're young. That's why it's fucked up when you see like young rich kids. It's like they're classically fucked up. Like there's something wrong about that, right?
I think hippies have gotten a bad rap. And when I was much younger, I thought, okay, these guys are idiots. They don't know what they're talking about. The older I've gotten, the more I'm like, you know what? Like
they're probably onto something.
They were onto something. Like in the late 60s, where they're like, why are we sending kids to die overseas? Like
why are drugs illegal?
Yeah. What are we like? Okay, let's have some pleasure. Let's expand our minds. Like it sounds stupid now because it's become an eat, pray, love thing. But looking back, I'm like, they weren't so bad. And who were they really? Like a lot of them were destroying their own lives. Let's be honest. Like at a certain point, hedonism's a problem. But in terms of like their motivations, I'm like, I kind of have a soft spot for them. And if you meet some of these older hippies, like even like especially the Bernie Sanders types, a lot of them are just really nice people.
Yeah,
and they just want
really
to have
nice
good
people.
neighborhoods.
Yeah, and they got into a nice vibe of like being a good person. But that's what the left used to be about. The left used to be about like freedom. It was more like freedom of speech, freedom of expression. You know, like think about the comic books that came from the left, like R. Crumb, like fucking bizarre, wild shit the right would never create, right? But then somewhere along the line, the roles reversed. And I don't even know if people realize it. It's like a shifting of the polar ice caps. Like today, if you were going to be a person who had a controversial comic book, you would most likely be on the right.
100%.
If you had like anything remotely as satirical and as fucked up as some of those R. Crumb comics, have you ever read those?
Did you know R. Crumb was going to draw my graphic novel?
No.
You didn't know this? Do you know Harvey Picar wrote a book about me, right?
Who did?
Harvey Picar?
I did not. I did not know that.
Harvey Picar from American Splendor, who's R. Crumb's like bestie, right? He had a graphic novel about me, came out in 2006, and R. Crumb was originally going to be the artist,
Oh
which
my
would have been
God.
absolutely insane.
Did you ever watch that documentary? on
Of
him?
course, where his brother's eating the rope.
Insane. His brother's just out to lunch, just reading books all day and living in the house.
They're all
And the
like
mom
insane,
and-
but
and
that was
him.
such a. I mean, talking about earlier, we are talking about Austin, like the Midwest in that time when America was kind of this like dark and lost place.
Yeah.
There was so much creativity in that alt comic scene, especially all the way through the '90s. Like a lot of really amazing creative people. Dan Klaus is another one who's just amazing. Really, just great stuff. Yeah. So Harvey did a book about me. It goes for like $200 now too.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So, but R. Crumb's comics are pretty fucking wild. Like today, if
Even
you
then.
even then, you know, when I was like, this is how much of hippies my parents were. We had that R. Crumb "How to Wipe Your Ass" thing framed in the bathroom. Do you know that?
No, I don't
you
know that one,
it?
no.
There's like R. Crumb had like it was like a toilet that like showed you how to wipe your ass. It's the most ridiculous thing, and it was like that's it right there.
Oh my God.
Yeah, don't forget to wipe your ass, folks. Bro, that was fucking in my house. That was in our bathroom when I was a little kid.
Framed?
So yeah, my parents were
They
wild.
didn't just tape it up. They put a frame
if I
on it.
remember correctly, either it was framed or it was like posted somewhere. I don't remember exactly how it was. I'm pretty sure it was framed though.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
It was like a poster or something. That was it right there.
Yeah, but like, yeah,
Don't
there's
forget
a
to
whole-
wipe your ass, folks.
My buddy Eric July just had a Kickstarter or something like that for his comic book series. I think he raised like 100,000 or some crazy number. So there is this big, but he's an anarchist. He's considered on the right.
Yeah.
But yeah, like people are, because the other thing is, it's not just that it's this kind of leftist crap. It's just regurgitating the same stories. Like how many times is Superman going to punch Brainiac in the face?
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
it's just kind of gets old.
Well,
really fast.
there's like two different kinds of comics, right? There's like comics that are like the classic superhero genre comics that I loved growing up, like the Avengers and the Hulk and Conan the Barbarian, all that shit. And then there's like these graphic novels that are independent and people do like really weird, cool stuff. And I guess you could put like Spawn in there. You know, you could put like a bunch of them. You could put a bunch of these like very interesting comics, but then they go like as far out there. I was like, when I lived in Boston, they had these independent comic book stores. You go there and there'd be these like really small batch comics that these weirdo artists would create, and some of them were wild, like really amazing, interesting, you know, like out there stuff in comic book form. But if you're gonna have anything that's like as controversial as R. Crumb, it's gonna be coming from the right now, which is really weird. It's
Yeah.
like a new thing.
and that's unprecedented, right? That-
Unprecedented.
yeah.
The right is the one telling us to get out of this war in Ukraine. It's
Right.
the right.
Can you imagine if you just like during the Bush era, if you imagine that Republicans would be chanting, "Let's get the military home, enough of the war machine," it would be because
Crazy.
it's almost as crazy as Bernie Sanders a couple of years ago telling us we need to support either the CIA or the FBI. I'm like, you are the epitome of this filthy old. Like, you open your wallet, moths are gonna fly out,
you're an
and
old hippie.
you're telling us to trust the FBI or CIA. I couldn't believe it, but it's this.
Blanket trust.
Yeah, it's this complete.
I trust the idea of both of them.
Do
I trust
you?
some of the individuals that are in them. Yes.
I had.
But it's just a fucking group of humans. When you have a group of humans,
Right.
any group of humans, you're going to have certain people that bend the rules. You're going to have certain people that say, you know what, I think I can get away with this. You're going to have certain people that say, I'm going to use this power because it's fun. You got a lot of weird things that happen when you get people. And if you call them the FBI, it's a fucking group of humans. They're just humans like all of us.
I had dinner with an ex, either FBI, I think it was CIA operative or FBI, but I'm not never sure CIA. And he was talking about how it's illegal for him or his coworkers to like look up his ex-girlfriend's Gmail. But what he could do is call his contact in France and be like, hey, look up this Gmail for me. And he could look it up for his French girl, for his French buddy. And he was talking about like, oh, this is how corrupt we are. I'm like, you should be in jail. Like you're using your powers to look up your ex's emails and you're just talking about like, oops, I'm on the take. Like you're
that
evil.
should be a serious crime.
It is though.
Yeah.
It's just not enforced. There's
Oh
no
my
way that's not a
God.
serious crime. When
That's
you're
so wild.
So when people talk about corruption and like, oh, it's it's like Hunter Biden's on the take, that's not the corruption I'm worried about. It's shit like this.
They're human beings, and it's not like they're Navy SEALs.
Yeah,
either.
right.
It's not like they have to go through some incredible like training process that weeds out all the weak people. It's not that at all. You just get to that spot. You're a bureaucrat. You're a guy who's moving up the ladder. Next thing you know, you're running this thing. And you might be a fucking sociopath. Or you might be a really patriotic guy who's trying to do the right thing inside a system that's imperfect. But I think both those things coexist.
But also, are you going to fire the good worker just because he's looking at his ex-girlfriend's emails? You're going to be like, no, dude, cut it out.
Yeah.
You're not going to make it public. It'll look bad for the agency. You look
You
after each other.
definitely-
It's kind of that thin blue line thing.
definitely
and then,
like lift up that carpet.
yeah. Just like, dude, don't do it
Don't
again.
do
It's
that
like, okay,
again,
I'm
bro.
sorry. It's just really kind of a messed up. Do you want to see what's in the box?
Sure, show me the cake.
Well, let's tell you the whole story. behind the
Okay.
cake. So I'm at home dicking around on Twitter as I want to do, and I get a like when the verified tab meant something, and I'm like, okay, who is this broad? And I look, and that wasn't the word I used, mind you, but I'm being nice. And I looked, and it's this girl, Natalie Sidesurf. She and her husband, they live in Austin. They make these super realistic cakes. So I said to them, I'm going to be on Rogan. We became good friends. We just went to Miami together, a whole crew of us, me, Blair White also. And I'm like, make me a cake of your favorite Russian podcaster. So I hope that they got my cheekbones right.
Oh boy, here we go.
Oh, God damn it.
Turn it towards me. It's pretty goddamn good. That's pretty good. That is Lex in a fucking. That's perfect.
I think it's got too much emotion in the eyes.
The lips are a little pursed though. It makes up for that. He might be in the middle of like saying something important about Dostoevsky.
Does this look as insane on camera as it looks in person?
It's really good, dude.
Holy
Let me take a
crap.
photo of it.
Yeah.
Hold on a second. That's really good. So what we're looking at here for the people that are just listening is a fucking amazing bust of
I gotta take a
Lex
picture of this,
Friedman
too,
that's actually a cake.
Hold on. Yeah, so they did that meme that everything is cake. It's them.
Well, they're really talented, man, because
Holy
that's
crap.
so good.
But
How
that's-
does it feel to be number 2 at best?
What do you mean?
Their favorite Russian podcaster. Like, at best, you're number 2 now.
I feel like Rodney.
Because that's number 1.
I feel like and then Constantine's probably number 2.
Oh, Constantine's got you beat.
He's great.
Yeah.
So
Trigonometry, those guys are great.
I feel like that Rodney Dangerfield line. My wife tells me I'm number 1, but treats me like I'm number 2. Okay, should I cut it? Are we ready to cut it?
No, let's cut it later.
Okay.
Come on, more suspense.
Okay.
Right?
Damn, she did a good job.
Yeah, it's excellent. I don't even want to cut it. I want to let it rot.
It's
I don't want to ruin it.
Yeah, it's creepy looking at
It's
it.
like a sandcastle that you can eat. You know? It's just temporary.
Are you excited? Can we talk about the club?
Yeah, sure.
Are you excited to open
Oh,
it?
yeah, tonight.
How long has this been your dream?
It wasn't a dream ever. I used to tell comedians, be nice to club owners because you don't want to be one. Because I was like, we need them.
Yeah,
like, 'cause
sure.
Comedians have oftentimes have an adversarial relationship with
I
people
feel
at
like he's
clubs.
watching me. Hold on.
He is. He's judging us. He's always judging. me.
0, 0, 0, and I wanted you to be ones. Joe, why are you such a 0?
The relationship that comedians have with clubs is based on the initial feeling that you had from clubs. There's like you have to kind of like work through that because in the beginning you're an open micer and you're fucking terrible. And you start getting better and you're trying to get work, but they don't want to give you work and they don't really respect you because they remember when you were terrible. And then you have to leave town, and then when you leave town, you're going to clubs and you're not getting paid that much. And sometimes people will kind of screw you over on the ticket prices or something will go wrong, and you got to just be cool about all of it. You got to be as friendly to club owners as you can because you don't want to be one. And you need those people. We need them. We're not going to go open up our own clubs. And I would say to these guys, like, we have this idea like it's an adversarial relationship with clubs. Like, it's not. We're all working together. Like, you got to be nice to these folks. Like, no one wants to open a fucking club. And then I came here. I was like, God damn it, I got to open a club. I was like, we had one place we're working out of, which is like an EDM club, the Vulcan Gas Company, which has been amazing. But it's not really set up for comedy. There's a balcony. It's weird. Some of the seating, like people are staring at a screen. I don't like that part of it. But it's an amazing staff, and it's an amazing set, and the sound's great. It's fun, and it kept us here for like a couple years. So I go, but we need like a full-time comedy club, like the Comedy Store. And so I started looking, and I almost bought one place that was owned by a cult.
Oh.
Yeah. It was. I was actually under contract, and then some issues happened and it fell apart. But I didn't know what that meant until Adam Egid said, "Oh yeah." He goes, I saw the documentary on them. I go, what? There's a documentary? Oh, Jesus
You know the
Christ.
cult's bad when they make a movie about it.
So the documentary is called Holy Hell. And this documentary is about this guy who he ran a cult in West Hollywood. And he was this guy who at one point in time he was a failed actor, and then he was a dancer, and he was just this really weird gay guy that was super, super charismatic. And he got all these people to join his cult. And they fled West Hollywood for some reason and came to Austin. And when they got to Austin, they set up this whole commune, and he had them build him a theater where he could dance in front of them.
Okay.
So they built this beautiful theater, but it's all like the cult members made it. Like, I don't even know if they used general contractors. I don't know, but it was a beautiful place. And so I watched the documentary, and I'm like, oh no, the documentary's so bad. This guy was fucking everyone, right? He was getting money from them, but he was fucking them, and then he would make them pay him because it was therapy. So he would fuck all the guys, like the straight guys, and then they were talking about this. Like, see, this is what we're talking about with like cults. These are regular folks.
Yeah.
These guys are so upset that they couldn't believe this is it. They thought they had it nailed. They thought they figured life out. They thought they had a group of people and they could all live together.
This guy's like the biggest stud in history. Like, if you're getting straight guys are paying you to fuck them, you're talented.
It's like beyond comprehension. The kind of charisma you need.
Yeah.
The kind of just whatever the fuck that is, where you can talk someone into things like that. Like, what is that?
Like, what's the steps?
Yeah.
Do you talk about, which do you broach first, the money or the sex?
Yeah. How do you justify it? Like, maybe just keep going. Maybe just keep asking for more.
But
I want $50 for that. Yes. Okay. Here you go. And now I'm gonna fuck you.
And now I want a hand job.
So this is the documentary. See, they always start off looking great. This is the case with Wild. What is it? Wild Wild Country, right? Is that the one? Yeah, Wild Wild Country. And this one's
Austin?
similar. No, this is probably before they came to Austin. Because is that a lake or is that an ocean? See, that's all mountains and shit. So that must be when they were in California. So they were all together in California, and then they fled and came to Austin. I don't remember why. He probably fucked the wrong dude or something.
How are they not? I'm not.
So that's the guy.
How are they not all getting
This is the
AIDS?
guy.
Holy crap.
This is the guy. So this guy now runs a cult in Hawaii. He fled Austin. He went to Hawaii. So they confront him in Hawaii in the documentary. And this is all the place I'm going to buy, Michael Malice. This is the place where I was setting up my big comedy club. I'm like, oh no, I'm going to have to sage the shit out of this place.
No, but
I was literally going to bring in exorcists to try to cleanse the room. I'm like, I can't buy this. And then luckily something was wrong and we had like an issue and I got out of the contract.
Wait.
It's a great place. How are you gonna Somebody bought it right away, right after I got out of there.
How are you going to find The Exorcist? Did you look on Yelp?
I was going to figure out a way. I was going to hire a priest or something. I was going to do a bunch of different things like that for fun. Because everyone's going to know the background of that place. If you watch the documentary, you know the background.
It's on, and can you tell us are you allowed to say where this place is?
Oh yeah, it's on B Caves Road. It's called
Holy
the One
crap.
World Theater. Yeah,
Jesus.
It's beautiful. Somebody bought it, like I said, immediately afterwards. It's a gorgeous place. It's an amazing place to see shows, too. It's great acoustics there. It's really... But the story behind it is this cult. Yeah. I mean, even if we worked out all the issues that we had, it would have been a great comedy club. I mean, it's a beautiful place. It would have required some work to.
Isn't
turn
BK
into-
Rove a little out of the way though?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
okay.
a little
It's
out of
a
the way,
hike,
but,
yeah.
but it's like
No, I'm just asking. Yeah, just to be
But
sure.
everybody's like, oh, I want to stay within like 3 minutes of downtown Austin. Like, come on, it's weird coming from California because
Right.
in California,
Everyone's
like the
driving
Ice
it,
House
yeah.
in Pasadena was no problem. Like everybody went out to the Ice House. We had shows there all the time. That's like a 35-minute drive.
Yeah.
but it was like normal to go to Irvine. That was normal.
Yeah, but
it's funny. That's the spot.
Oh, that's beautiful.
It's gorgeous. They did an amazing job.
It looks like it belongs in Epstein's Island, though.
Doesn't
look
it
like-
doesn't when you're in
Okay,
it.
when you're in it,
it, it's a gorgeous building.
I forgot about
That's how much they loved him. They built him this gorgeous building.
That's how much they loved him.
That's how much they
That's what
loved
they were
him.
told to do.
Yes, but they did it with love. Look how good it is.
How
I
did
mean,
it-
come on, that's a beautiful place.
How did it go south?
I can't really talk about it. It wasn't
Not the
a
deal,
giant
the
issue.
club, the cult.
The cult.
Yeah.
The cult. I think it just all fell apart. Well, he's fucking all these guys, and he's allegedly.
They're
should
not
say
all getting
allegedly. They're all
STDs?
saying
They're
he's
not all
fucking
getting
them.
AIDS?
I mean, I guess he's only fucking them. So I
Okay.
guess they're all like only interacting with each other. I don't know what's going on.
Okay.
I don't know why they're not. Maybe they did get STDs or they left that part out.
Right.
I don't know. But I do know that like the whole thing, it's like he started getting weird plastic surgery and allegedly, and the whole thing is wild. You should watch the documentary.
Okay,
It's
I'll
on
watch it.
Amazon Prime.
Okay.
It's called Holy Hell. You're gonna watch it. You're gonna go, oh my god,
Jesus Christ.
It's so sad because some of these people at the end of the documentary, like this one lady's now she's like a 50-year-old dog walker. She's like, what the fuck? Like I just blew 20 years of my life with these people. Like that was like the saddest part about this documentary.
When they wake up.
They wake up because that's what people are. It's so important to say over and over again if someone is stuck in that sort of a situation. It's all of us. We're all that you can catch the flu, right? You can also catch a mind virus. In a cult, being in a cult is like a mind virus. If you grow up believing that a Catholic priest who has been molesting children would never do it because he's a man of God,
Right.
guess what? That's the same thing. It's the same mindset. It's just much more organized and much larger. But it's the same sort of mindset that would allow you to think that way as the same mindset that allowed these poor fucking people to waste 20 years of their life with this guy who's like a crazy person.
I had a friend of mine, casual friend, who texted me out of nowhere. I talk to her maybe once every few years, and she's like, "Oh, have you heard of this thing called Landmark?" And
oh, no. Jesus Christ.
And I go, yeah, it's a cult. And she's like, oh, haha, you're so funny. Anyway, I wanted to give you this great opportunity. And she just kept texting me. And it's just like, I don't know what they're...
How does she not know you?
That's the... Well, because I'd be the big fish. If she could...
Yeah, but doesn't she understand? Like, who is this person? How does she not know you?
She's friends with a couple I mentioned earlier. I've known her friends of friends since for like 20 years.
How funny is it when someone's their ability to read someone is so off that they would come to you?
But I don't think you think
with
it's
some cult proposal.
I don't think that's how it works. I think it's more like if you have even the slightest chance, you have to go for it no matter what. And if she came back, it's like, who's the biggest? I bet you they sit them down and they say, who's the biggest name in your cell phone? And that's going to be your target. That's how it works.
Boy.
You don't want to just grab some like bag lady. You want someone who's got like some kind of slight cred because then
course.
he's bringing his people over.
Of course.
And then you could be the one who like, oh my God, she brought in,
Right.
whoever, Rogan, Michael Malice.
And if she doesn't understand that she's in a cult,
Right. She thinks
is Landmark a cult? Like, I don't know anything about
yes,
it. What is it?
I had a God. I knew this girl many years ago. I don't want to mention her name, and she said to me flat out, we're hanging out, and she goes, "I don't need religion because I have Landmark," and I'm like, "You're not selling this. You're scaring me." And the point is, it's like.
That's adorable.
It's basic. I'm gonna get sued. I know I'm gonna get because when you cross these people, forget it. It's game over. But it's kind of I think you're buying tapes and you're paying to attend meetings.
And what is it? Is it a self-improvement thing?
Yes. But
What
it's
is
been
their-
around since the 70s.
What
I
is
think.
their self-improvement angle? Is it possible that someone could pull this off and do a good job?
What do you mean?
Make a good cult, solid cult with rules like the country, like the Bill of Rights.
Oh.
Have a good cult. Put together a good cult.
I think the. Oh God.
Redefine what's possible in your relationships, your work, your family, your communities. What matters most to you? Actually, this sounds good, Lex. I might have to join.
That sounds good, Lex.
Put it up. See this? No. I'm sorry. Scroll back.
You
down to
know
where
what?
were.
Hold on, Joe. It worked because now I'm talking about this shit on Joe Rogan.
Yeah, it worked.
And he's pulling
Yeah,
up the free ad.
look.
I'm
Pull
not
it up.
showing anybody. They have to look at it themselves.
Yeah.
Okay, bring about positive, permanent shifts in the quality of your life. Create power, freedom, self-expression, and peace of mind. This sounds good, bro. All this sounds good.
What have I done?
Malice, what the fuck is wrong with you? More than 94% of participants surveyed reported that Landmarks Forum made a profound and lasting difference in their lives. How about that's good? That's 94%. That's
Okay.
better than the vaccine.
I made a
the
mistake.
Landmark Forum
I
is
made a
designed
mistake.
to bring about positive, permanent shifts in the quality of your life in just 3 days. These shifts are the direct cause for a new and unique kind of freedom and power. The freedom to be at ease and the power to be effective in the areas that matter most to you. The quality of your relationships, the confidence in which you live your life, your personal productivity, your experience of the difference you make, your enjoyment of life. Those are all positive things, Michael Malice.
I can't believe her plan, apparently,
It
to
works.
get you to do an ad
Seems
read
like
for
a good-
Landmark.
I don't know what they're doing.
Holy crap.
Maybe they're doing something that's
I
below
wanna-
that. It's about xenon and
I
living
want
on
to
the
change
moon.
the subject as quickly as possible to literally anything else.
Is it a thing where it seems negative because the people that get involved in it are all those folks that are just, you know how there's some people that never seem to find an anchor in life. You know, they kind of drift from one way of thinking to another, and they kind of drifted through.
I think a lot of the ways these organizations work, and it's not necessarily all bad, is that they provide lonely people a sense of community. This is one of the ways AA works, and this is not a knock against AA. If you're someone who's an addict or an alcoholic and you're kind of alone in the gutter, you've got your drinking buddy or your heroin buddy, and now you've got a group of people who share your experiences,
Yes.
have your worldview, you're not alone.
It's
And
positive.
That's very. I know AA gets a lot of knocks. I got a lot of friends who are in recovery. I think it's just done terrifically good things for them. Doesn't work for everybody.
Yeah, I
but-
know a lot of friends who've had great benefits. from
yeah,
AA.
and that is actually a real benefit. I
Yeah.
think you're talking earlier about social media. I think a lot of people tend to be very isolated. There's a lot of lonely people out there, people more than even most of us realize, and we're social animals. We're hungry to have someone. We want to be seen. We want someone who understands us. We want someone not to feel so alone all the time.
Yes.
And that's what something like AA provides. And
Church
that's
provides that too.
Churches provide that too. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like all these like that kind of Sam Harris atheism that religion's all negative and this kind of atheism thing. I'm like, there's a reason people gravitate toward it, and it's not all that they've been duped.
Yeah.
It does provide a service for a lot of people.
Yeah, it definitely provides the agreement that you're all making with each other. You're all kind of making with each other this agreement that you're there to be good persons, good people in the eyes of God. Like there's a
But
part
it's also
of,
in the eyes of your community.
yes, the eyes
That's
of your,
the
but you're
thing.
making that agreement, right?
Yeah.
So that's also in the eyes of your community. You're making an agreement together that you're all going to follow these principles. And you're going to forgive people, and you're going to help people, and you're going to put money together when someone needs something, when something goes
But it's
wrong with someone in
also,
the community.
if you have a moral dilemma, you're going to remind yourself, you know what, like I should do the right thing, even though it's going to be harder.
Yes, but people are like famous. It's like famous for being like very generous to other people that are in their churches. Like I know of many friends who go to church and they'll talk about how the church raised money because someone had something
Yeah.
go wrong inside their church and they needed something fixed or something, and they help each other out. So it's like you just get this feeling of like family when you're part of a
Right.
community church. It's like you go to see each other on Sunday, you look forward to it, everybody dresses up. It's a net positive. The problem that people have is with the taking of stories that are very, very old as just fact. That's the only problem that people have with it. If you looked at the net positives that come out of religions, like other than when they go sideways, right? Like when they impose their religion on others and go into war. But that's like natural human dominance characteristics that are exhibited through like the guise of religion. The best aspects of religion are just living your life with a purpose. It gives you like a scaffolding to think about like moral values and community values and that there's a higher thing above you which helps dissolve the ego and helps you be humble.
But also, I think the idea of live as if someone's watching.
Yes.
And I think that's something, I don't think you need religion for that, but if someone needs a religious framework to live this kind of ethical life and like make sure when you go to sleep you can honestly say I tried to do the right thing as much as I could to the best of my ability, I think that's kind of a good thing. The other the issue I have is their big suspicion of pleasure or happiness.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that
Yeah.
with religion, that if you're having fun or if you are happy, and I know I'm going to get pushback on this, you did something wrong along the way, especially
why
this fear of pleasure.
Black people win. Black churches are the most fun
Yeah.
things of all time. Like, you see Biden at the black church, and he's just standing there like he doesn't know how to move.
Oh, my God.
He's just standing there, and everybody around him is dancing. They're all having a great fucking time. They know how to do it, dude. They know how to do it.
That's actually one of Neil Hamburger's lines, that when he tells a joke that bombs, he'll say, "Would that have been funnier if there's a black choir behind me?" And the answer is probably yes.
You know who else does it right? Those fucking the people speak in tongues. They just
come on.
They're like
The snake charmers?
You know what
the
that's like?
The charismatics?
Well, the people that speak in tongues, where they just go off and shamalala. You know what that is like? That's like a verbal mosh pit. That's what it's like. They just and everybody's like, Jesus speaks through him. Jesus speaks through him. There's something about that too. There's something like super entertaining about that old Sam Kinison style revival church type preacher. Like, that's a fucking entertaining thing to watch.
But it's also kind of harkens back to like the Greek bacchanals, where everyone's just drunk and just having orgies and just losing their minds.
But it's the same kind of thing. It's like you believe Jimmy Swaggart because he's led you into his little realm of control, and he's your cult leader. You know, if you believe that guy, if you're on TV, he's like, I've sinned. Remember when he got caught with like hookers and, what was it, like hookers and blow? Is that what it was?
Is he the one who's
Something
back
happened.
selling rice and cheesy broccoli?
No, that's the other guy. That's
Jim
Jim
Baker? Okay.
Jim Baker is selling apocalypse food.
It's cheesy broccoli.
But he had apocalypse food that was like under the table, and you would use it as a table. Instead, they were showing how you could store it around the house. And instead of like having table legs, you could have all this boxed food under your table. Like, it's one of the wildest things you've ever seen in your life.
But it's also really funny that
people.
like, if you guys are in his organization, shouldn't you be the ones getting raptured? Like, shouldn't you be like the 100? Oh God,
There he is eating it. Bulk sampler bundle. Imagine. This is the guy that was this. Now this has the Sam Kinison connection too, because he had the affair with Jessica Hahn,
Right.
who was the secretary, the hot secretary, and Jessica Hahn wound up fucking Sam Kinison, and they had
I
like
forgot about that. Yeah.
they had a terrible breakup. They would talk shit about each other on Howard Stern.
What do you think of what Howard's become recently?
Well,
He's the only person I know who's gone, other than Penn maybe, who's gone from being red pilled to blue pilled.
Yeah.
For people who don't know, let me do a little, because the kids these days don't know. Howard Stern had a guy in his show, Stuttering John, and he would send them out to talk to celebrities, and he would ask them the most fucked up questions. And this was before social media. So they usually used to have a barrier. You can't just tweet at someone. So when Jennifer Flowers in 92 was announcing that she had an affair with Bill Clinton, people thought he was going to sink his candidacy. He sent his boy there and he asked her, did he use a condom? And then he asked her, are you planning on sleeping with any other presidential candidates? And the reporters there were ape shit and they're trying to kick him out. But like he would do, and it's really kind of funny when he had these comedians who had like a stick up their ass. Like I remember he talked to Billy Crystal, and Billy Crystal like, oh, let me have it. And he's like, all right, are you going to be making a sequel to Mr. Saturday Night, like his big bomb? And the look on Billy Crystal's face, just the pure rage, was absolutely hilarious.
God, that's hilarious. Yeah, he did some wild shit. And then I guess he had a falling out with Howard. And then he went over to Jay Leno.
Yeah,
he
now
was
he
the
just-
announcer of the Jay Leno
Yeah.
show. So that was a great gig for him.
No, but
he was like very underrated. Like he just was willing to. But there was like that. What he had created was a morning show that you had to listen to. Like
Yes.
you would go to work and you go, "Oh my God, did you hear Howard?"
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, do you hear? And he did it every day, and it was a super valuable thing because it didn't exist anywhere else. If we're around today, we have all these like social media memes that are hilarious and fucked up. We have like Reddit threads that are hilarious. There's a lot of stuff out there where people are being outrageous. But back then there wasn't.
Right, it was just
so
Howard.
you had a boring ass fucking job where you're like sitting in a truck all day delivering packages or whatever it is, and in that morning when you get to work, you're listening to Howard fucking Stern, and he's got some lady who's riding on a vibrator, and she's like, remember he had with that thing
the
that
Sibian.
the Sibian,
Sibian,
he had
yeah.
different gals ride on this
No,
thing.
it was even worse. If people wanted to promote like their band, the mom would be controlling it, or the son would be controlling it, the mom would be sitting on it, or like brother
Christ.
and sister, and you're sitting there, you just want to kill yourself.
Jesus Christ. He just went for it. And he got fined by the FCC. It was a big
for
deal.
saying like lusty lesbians and lust or something like that. It was just nothing.
It was during the Bush era,
Yeah.
and this was back when the right was trying to censor people.
Right.
And this is our pivot and our shift again. You know, it's really kind of fascinating. It really is. The culture shift between right and left authoritarianism, and now people don't recognize that if you just stopped looking at it in terms of red and blue, look at the actions. Whether it's war, suppression of free speech, pharmacological interventions that are mandatory, whatever the fuck it is, that used to all be associated with the authoritative right, the authoritarian right, and now those things are being embraced by the left. And I just think it's just an ideology thing, and I think we get confused and we think we're on the right side. We're on the right side, and if it's our side that's saying this, for sure that's the right thing to do. And no one's critically thinking about this.
I'm gonna play
no one.
I'm gonna play devil's advocate because
do.
sometimes I feel like we need more of that. Because have you heard this show called MILF Manor?
I have. We played a preview, and I'm hoping it is what we thought it was.
Oh, I've been watching it.
Is it the sons of the ladies?
Oh yeah.
Okay, of course it is.
So you have a group of young dudes. The youngest is 20, and they're in a house with their own moms.
Yeah.
And it's like a dating pool. That's the dating pool.
Right.
And the first episode, they had to feel their son's blindfolded. They had to feel the son's torsos to guess who their son was. And you're watching this, and these are not, by the way, the women seem kind of classy. They have jobs, they're professionals, they don't look like complete gutter rats. And you're watching and you're like, this is why we need an atom bomb to like destroy the, because I'm like, I can't not watch. I cannot watch, and you're wondering like who's going to end up with, and the thing
But
is,
come on, isn't it fun that that's a real thing? Isn't it fun if you went back to like Wheel of Fortune and you know what the new game show is going to be like? But you're talking to me, right? I hosted fucking Fear Factor.
That's right, yeah.
I hosted Fear Factor for 6 years.
right, that's
dude.
right. That was the worst thing. Yeah.
I did like I don't know how many episodes we did. It's like
Yeah.
148
Wait,
episodes
yeah,
or something
the worst
crazy.
thing is like, oh no, people are nude and walking down a runway.
Yeah.
And now it's like, yeah, my mom's trying to date my bro.
I was saying while we were doing it, I was always making fun of it. I go, we're about 3 seasons away from The Running Man. I go, all we need is one natural disaster.
Yeah.
I was always joking about it on set. Because one of the things about Fear Factor, episodes 1 through 4 I did sober.
Okay.
That's it. The whole thing, I was high as a kite. Every time I did it, I was high as a kite. It was the only time it was fun. Because then it became really fun. Because before that, it was like, I wish these guys didn't. I would get this like pity in me, like God, I wouldn't want to eat an animal's dick on TV.
Right, yeah.
I wish these people like didn't need to get their credit card debt paid so badly that they're. I don't want to do this to them. It's not my idea. There was a couple of times where I told them don't do it. Like there was only 2 times in the history of the show where I went to the producers. I'm like, don't do this.
What were they?
One of them was bull riding.
Okay.
They were gonna have these people ride bulls.
Okay.
And the fucking stuntmen are incredible. First of all, stuntmen are a different breed of human.
Yeah.
They're dudes who don't give a fuck if they break an arm. They're fucking men. They're all these like one of them, this guy Perry, he didn't spit his dip out because he was so used to being on sets. He got used to swallowing his dip. So he's just
my God.
Yeah. So he's got dip in his mouth, and instead of spitting the saliva out, he's swallowing it.
Is that gonna make you sick?
Not him.
The fuck?
He did it all day long. So all these folks who are the stuntmen are these fucking rugged. They're all like martial artists. They all have fucking broken kneecaps and shit. They're all animals, right? And so their version of like what's dangerous physically is different than my version. I'm like, that's a bull. And so this dude says to me, he goes, don't worry about it, boo. It's just a stunt bull. I go, does the bull know
Yeah,
he's a
what the
stunt
fuck
bull?
does that mean?
They're less aggressive.
Okay.
By what measure?
Yeah.
By what
It's still
measure?
like 2,000 pounds.
Dude, and they're in the cage, right? And they're bang, 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 bang. They're trying to get out of the cage. I'm like, don't do this. Don't do this. We just rolled the dice. They rolled the dice.
Was everyone okay?
Everyone was okay, luckily. But this one light girl, she was light. She was like 100 pounds. This thing fucking launched her through the air.
Yeah, of course.
And then kicked backwards and
shit.
almost hit her head.
Oh, my God.
Like this. Whew. It was terrifying. I mean, she lands on her back. Like, it's rough. I wouldn't have done it. I mean, I would not have done it. And I know there's guys out there that ride bulls and they know what the fuck they're doing and they're animals and I respect it. It's not that I don't think you should do it. Like, I think if you want to do flips on a BMX bike, I want you to do it.
Yeah, but be informed what you're doing. Yeah.
Learn how to do it. But,
Yeah.
but don't just jump on it for a fucking TV show.
What was the other one?
The other one was drinking cum.
What?
They had to drink donkey cum. Yeah, exactly. So here's me, right? Imagine me showing up at work. What do they have to do today? High as a kite, right? And they're like, well, we're going to make them play horseshoes to drink donkey cum. I go, what?
How do they-
Donkey urine too. As well.
How do you say cum on corporate TV? What
Sperm.
Was, sperm. You said okay.
I think.
Okay.
What
Semen?
else could you call
I don't
it?
know. Yeah. Okay.
Maybe semen,
Okay.
right? What's the technical sperm?
Juice is what they call it in the
Donkey
YouTube.
Donkey
juice.
juice. Donkey juice. It's clear what it is. Yeah,
Oh my
bro.
God.
What the fuck?
How much did they have to drink?
A lot.
It seems like it'd be hard to get-
Steinworth.
it seems
so
like it'd be
there's a
hard to get
video of
down.
it.
Oh my God.
So
Oh my
they were all twins. It was a twins episode. Twin boys and twin girls, and they drank sperm and urine. I was like, don't do this. But this is the thing. This is what happens when this is on NBC.
I remember. I
so
watched
someone
it.
from NBC gave this the green light. They're like,
She's
"Thumbs up."
crying.
How weird.
She looks like Marilyn
Crying
Manson.
while she's drinking cum. Like, this is horrible.
Takes her back to prom night.
Ah.
I remember one episode
of a
very
bitch.
vividly because they had to eat bull testicles.
Yeah, but
And-
that's nothing. That's
no,
Rocky
but
Mountain
the thing
oysters.
is, it was these huge dudes, and this girl's like 100 pounds, and she's
Yeah.
like, it's not that it's testicles. Like, this is just a lot of food.
Yeah.
Like, to get down. Like,
Yeah.
it's like a pound of food in 5 minutes. I can't do that.
Right, especially for small people. Like
Yes.
there was this one guy who was he had to eat. I forget what organ it was. It was like a dried gallbladder or something like that. He
Okay.
ate. And or kidney. And you have a certain amount of time to do it. And if you don't complete it and have it swallowed within that time frame, then you're out. And this guy was like eating it and just saying, "There's no problem at all." And he was kind of joking around and doing it kind of slow. And then as time was going on, I was like, "Hey man, you only got like 3 minutes left." And then he starts panicking and starts like and you can't drink water. Or He's
Okay.
not drinking water while he's doing it. So he's trying to swallow and he can't. And he gets like super frustrated. And at the end of it, he's got a chunk of it. And he never swallowed all of it. So he got so upset. He's just fucking screaming and yells like, fuck. It's like, it's volume.
Yeah,
It's a lot of
yeah.
volume. And you're not allowed to drink water. Like in the beginning, you think you're going to be okay. But then as time goes on, you're like, oh my God, it's hard to swallow all this shit. You know, you're chewing some fucking kidney that's some dried up kidney.
Do you ever look back? Like, I think a lot of people look back on the Trump presidency. Like, did that really happen? Like, do you look back? Like, is that my life? Like, for 6 years, I
Dude,
was
I
that
look at
guy.
my life right now like that. What the fuck are you talking about? My whole life has been like that from day one, right out of the womb. I'm like, what the fuck is this? Yeah, all of it doesn't make any sense. But that's just who I am. I don't know what to do.
Did they bring it back or try to?
Yeah, they did. We brought it back, and that was what killed it. Was the donkey cum?
Oh, that was the reboot?
That was the reboot. Yeah, we did. I feel like it was just they were going too far. It was scaring the shit out of me. Like the stunts were too extreme. They were extreme to the point where I was like, hey, someone could fucking die. Like, I know we're pulling this off, but if we don't pull it off, like the bull was in the original episodes. And the bull one was like early on in the show. And I just think that the producers just like trusted the stunt guys. And I just think stunt guys are just so next level tough. And they're used to dealing with like stunt people. They're not
Yeah,
just
yeah.
dealing with like some contestants on a television show. And as time went on, they became much more conservative. Like they didn't do things like that again. Like I would say after that, most of the stunts for the whole rest of the first seasons were like reasonable risks. Like they did a good job of managing that. None of them freaked me out, but the new ones freaked me out. The new ones, they had like this helicopter thing, and you got what was a bungee cord under the helicopter, and you get launched towards the helicopter. I was like, Like
Jesus.
things break. Like you got people hanging over a canyon. It was so wild. They were tied to a tree and they had to like unlock themselves. And as they unlock themselves, they hit a thing and they go launching because there's a bungee cord that attaches them to a fucking helicopter that's hanging over a canyon. So they go flying through the air
Holy shit.
and then bounce down over this canyon. I'm like, any wrong calculation, any weird wind, any fucking like the fraying of the ropes, the failure of the metal that's the clasp that holds the bungee cord to the fucking helicopter. I was like, this
my God.
This was
Oh my
terrifying,
God.
dude. This terrified the shit out of me. It really did.
Oh my God.
So
Holy
as they
crap.
unlocked themselves,
Yeah.
I guess they didn't have to hit anything. I think they just they have to figure out all the keys. So it's a race. You have a whole handful
yeah.
of keys, and you can get lucky. You can get lucky and get that key the first
Holy
time, and then
crap.
she gets launched. Like, look at that.
Holy crap.
Bro, fuck all that. Just fuck all that.
I can't even stand being like on the top of a tall building. Like
don't like it
I
either.
get vertigo.
We did a lot of tall building stuff too. I'd look over the edge like,
Oh yeah, I can't handle that shit at all. Even if I'm just hanging out at a party, I'm like I can't be near the edge. I get vertigo.
Yeah, we had people walk across beams that were set between two buildings in downtown LA.
But they at least have something attaching them,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
so
yeah.
if they
We have
fall, they're fine.
harnesses and
Yeah,
safety
that's
harnesses
fine.
and shit. But that was when I first found out about Skid Row. I didn't know about Skid Row.
It's real. It's a real street. I didn't know that either.
Well, I didn't know how bad it was. It was so bad
It's gotten
in the
worse,
early
though.
way.
It's crazy.
Way worse.
Have you seen those videos on like people just
Oh,
do these
yeah.
YouTubes? They just walk on. It's just tent after tent after tent.
Well, I had that guy from Soft White Underbelly. What's that gentleman's name again? Mark. Yeah. We'll pull it up. But he's done a lot of interviews with these people from down there. Have you ever seen Soft White Underbelly
No.
on YouTube? It's really good, dude. Really good. He's a really good interviewer. And he interviews all of these people that... Mark Leita.
Okay.
Sorry, Mark. I have no more room in my brain. My brain's fucked. But this show that he has on
Oh,
YouTube,
wow.
he interviews like pimps and gang members and people who are addicted to heroin, street hookers, people with schizophrenia. He interviews this inbred family in the hills of West Virginia. Like the whole family's inbred. It's crazy.
Oh my God.
The son talks and barks. He just barks like a dog. Like, and you see them, it's so wild.
Like that X-Files episode.
I'll show it to you
Yeah,
because
please.
it's so crazy that people don't believe it.
This is like our crumb shit.
beyond. But he interviews people and he's like really kind and he's very non-judgmental. So he gets people to talk about all kinds of stuff, like how they got into prostitution. What was it like the first time they did drugs? When did they know they were hooked?
Oh my God.
This
Oh
is the
my
whole
God.
family.
Oh my God.
Dude, it's crazy.
This is Hills Have Eyes.
Yeah. You hear that guy, the barking? That's the son. He barks. Yeah, let's see some of the video.
So
This
you
is the
grew
guy.
up here
Look at this.
in Odd, West Virginia, your whole life.
So this is a guy who is like in his probably 50s or 60s.
And your family, you lost your brother since I was here last. Tell me about your brother.
He can't talk. So like a question like that, he can't answer. He can say yes to things like as barks and he nods his head.
But he can understand.
He understands some things, but like him saying, "Tell me about your brother," he probably got uncomfortable, which is why he left because he can't talk.
What's your favorite memory, Ray? Do you remember anything about your life?
I can't. This is the most uncanny valley shit I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's the whole family too. It's not just this.
Are
joke.
they just all fucking each other?
Well, we went over this before, but it was like more than inbred. It was like inbreds inbreeding.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and
Oh my God! Look at that guy on the sofa.
The whole family's like that.
Fuck.
Some of them can talk. One of them graduated high school. Give me some volume on this so we can hear.
So what are your names? I'm sorry. Who's this?
His name's Ray.
Ray. I remember Ray. I photographed you, Ray. Do you remember? Years ago.
See, that's what he can do. He can
Your name
nod
is-
and yes. You can ask him yes or no
And
questions.
Timmy.
Is that Tim
You
Pool?
guys grew up here in Odd, West Virginia.
Sorry,
Tim Pool
Tim.
without his beanie.
How many
Yeah,
years have you
sorry,
lived here?
Tim.
It's like when Clark Kent takes his glasses off. You're like, how? Like nobody recognizes Superman with those stupid glasses on.
I have Tim Pool's beanie hanging in my house next to Alex Jones's tinfoil hat.
So this is this is just one of his crazy videos. His many videos.
It even says Inbred
like-
Family, the Whitakers.
Yeah, the
36
channel.
million views. Holy crap.
Yeah,
Oh, this is an update. This is the sequel.
Yeah, well, there's a different video too. I
yeah.
thought this
He
was the
went
first one,
back
but-
and visited them. He's visited them more than once.
I-
He tries to help out, but it's like the community's very protective of them. So he had. To,
Oh,
like-
good. Okay, I'm glad
Yeah.
that they're like being not like bullied and treated.
Well, I think they probably have been a lot.
Well, sure,
you know?
but if the community's looking out for them,
Yeah.
that's good.
Yeah, when strangers come around, then other people from the community come around and investigate.
Okay.
So he had that happen. To
Okay,
him.
good.
Yeah, so it's good. But Mark is
Oh my God.
he's in Skid Row every day, like filming. He pays people and does interviews with them, and he's just sort of documenting some aspects of our society that you don't get a chance to see the humanity in these people. You just see people living on the street, and you don't think of them as being like someone's daughter or someone's son or someone's sister or mother. Like you just think, oh, this fucking loser junkie. Look at this loser.
Well, I mean, a lot of them are just mentally ill, right?
A lot of
And
them
they're
are
gonna
mentally
be,
ill.
and a lot of them are going to be self-medicating.
Some of them are not. They don't seem that mentally ill. What it seems like is
Oh
they're products of horrible abuse. So this is Los Angeles in 2023. If you drive down the street, it is a fucking dystopian nightmare that you couldn't imagine. The entire sidewalk on both sides is filled with tents.
Yeah.
It's just it's so insane, the sheer numbers of homeless. That if this was zombies instead of homeless people, like people, we would be overwhelmed with zombies.
But-
it would be like a zombie. You would have to leave.
But Joe, Austin was like this.
Not that bad.
It wasn't, but it was certainly that direction.
It was on that direction.
I remember
But they cleaned a lot of it up, but I've been informed that they didn't clean it up by the lake. I've been informed that if you go by the lake, there's a lot of homeless people.
But I remember walking down Cesar
lot of
Chavez. It was tent after tent after tent. I was with a friend, and it was very disturbing. So
Something happened during
I don't
the
understand this-
pandemic where it really accelerated. Because of the economic stress that people went under, and I think the mental health stress that a lot of people went under, and so many people just lost it, and so many people got fired. I mean, you think about the unprecedented loss of jobs during the lockdown, and what kind of an increase that must have had in homelessness. It must be off the charts.
well, I just don't understand the argument for people who think this is something that's like ideal or good or acceptable.
Or
It's not,
you don't have to fix that,
Right.
Like, are you the guys in the government or not? Are you
Right.
in charge of everything, including our health? So if you are, why aren't you doing something about that?
Especially because the people who are there who are mentally ill, maybe they're drug addicts, they're the victims of violence from the others too. It's
Yes.
not like it's safe for them or it's
Not at
ideal
all.
for them. So
No.
I don't understand I've never heard a good argument for why this is allowed to happen.
They're sleeping in cloth houses on the street with a
Yes.
bunch of other mentally ill people. Like the possibility of danger is off the charts. And it's almost like we have two worlds that are going on simultaneously, right? You have the world that you and I live in, and then you have homeless tent world where it's basically like fucking Mad Max and no one's doing jack shit about it. And who knows who's running things and who's fucking who and who's giving people drugs and who's shitting on the sidewalk. And it's happening in the same city. So you've got guys like you that are living great. You got a nice place and look at the view, and you have your coffee at the local coffee shop, and 3 blocks away is Mad Max. And it's you're talking about thousands and thousands of people living like this. It's not 100.
But the question I always ask is who's this benefiting? Because someone's benefiting from this if it's being allowed to happen.
Well, my friend Coleon Noir.
Oh, I know. Okay.
Coleon, he was a lawyer, and he was talking to this guy in San Francisco, and he was like, what's the problem? It's like,
Yeah.
they just don't have any funding to fix this? And the guy said, no. No, the problem is there's a bunch of people that get paid to work on the homeless situation.
Oh, there it is.
And they get big salaries.
Okay.
Big salaries. 6 figures. One of them was like $200,000+ working on homelessness and not doing a very good job of it. I mean, like, what are you doing to fix it? What are you doing to fix it when it's this big? If anybody that says they're working on the home, well, this is our solution, and you go down Skid Row, they're like, you failed. Like, you guys failed. Like, this is a national tragedy. Like that this exists in every city. We should be embarrassed by it, and it should be fixed as quickly as possible. It should be one of our number one priorities is not let people camp out in the streets all night long everywhere.
Well, it's fixed when there's some kind of a big event coming through town. They round them up, they put them somewhere, and then it just reverts to normal.
Shuffle them. We have how much to send to Ukraine? We don't have enough to fix this. How did we just develop that money to ship to Ukraine? Because it was imperative. We needed that money. We don't need the money to fix these homeless situations.
It was funny. My buddy John, who lives in Burbank, who's one of my closest friends, like when the proposition here was on, or the referendum, whatever it was, on the ballot to kind of clean up make it illegal to sleep on the street in a tent. And he's like, I don't believe it. Like, where are they going to put all these people? And I go, I don't care. Like, the point is, house them somewhere. They don't have to have primetime real estate, but this isn't good for them. This isn't good for anybody.
It's not good for anybody, but the thing about the housing them is, in many situations, what happens is they make them be clean. So if you want to stay, if you want to stay in this situation, you have to be clean. Which is, like they had this one area outside of Brentwood, had something to do with some veterans park or something like that, where they allowed people to camp.
Okay.
They'd come up with a solution. We're going to allow you to camp out in this one area. We're going to provide you with these places to sleep, but you have to be clean. And so you know what happened?
What?
People put tents just on the other side of the fence.
Okay.
And so they got all the benefits of being right there, but they could still do drugs. They got all their community. Everyone's right there. You're free to come and go, walk in and out as you want. You just can't sleep there.
There's something else I want to talk to you about. I'm glad I remembered it. Did you hear, and I want to hear your thoughts on it, that my second favorite politician, I forget the guy's name, I'm so sorry, he introduced a bill in the state legislature for Texas to become an independent country. And that was like, we're like the last state to give in, right? Texas was?
I think if you go back and look at Texas's what it really originally was, it was like a republic.
Right, the Republic of Texas. Yeah, and there's still a house where the ambassador owned.
What year did it become a state?
Oh, I don't know. It's got to be like 1830s or 40s, I would guess.
I think there was a lot of people that were super skeptical about joining the Union.
Not too shabby.
1845.
Yeah.
The 28th state.
So for 9 years, it was its own country.
That's so crazy. That's so crazy.
But, I mean, what's your thoughts on that?
I think it's a stupid idea.
Why? I'm all for it. I
You're
think
all
that's
for
the best
us
idea.
becoming another country?
Oh, yeah.
And then we get invaded.
Why? By who?
By the rest of the country.
If
you don't want to be apart from all these maniacs. You don't want to be in another country than people that live in Oklahoma. Listen, they hate each other enough about football. Do you know how bad they'd hate each other if Texas was another country?
There's lots
you needed a passport to get in?
There's lots of countries I hate right now. I'm not interested in invading them.
Well, look at Ukraine and look at Russia,
right
next to each other. Well, what do you don't think that there's a possibility in the future, like maybe 100 years from now, if Texas becomes a country that like New Mexico doesn't just invade us?
Wait, but the concern is that right now Washington's going to invade us.
Right now?
Yes.
If we stay?
Yes.
In what way?
Meaning if Texas or Florida or any of these other states becomes too defiant, or if it's the other way around, if you have a Republican administration and some leftist state decides to be like, we're not going to be enforcing borders or immigration rules, someone might send in the feds. And they talk about it all. In fact, just Governor Abbott had to stand up to Biden and make this bill, or I don't remember what exactly it was, but just insisting that the National Guard's answer to him and not to the president. I know this is a bill in New Hampshire as well, I think, called like Save the Guard, something like that.
Well, that's why states' rights are important.
Yeah, but it's a lot easier to not have to worry about D.C. than to expect D.C. to lessen their power.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I think we should be moving towards a better country.
Yeah, that's what the Republic of Texas would be.
But I think together, collectively.
Yeah, us Texans.
You're hilarious.
It's true. I could not be
I
more
don't
for
want
this.
to have a passport if I need to go to Philly.
So don't go to Philly.
I'm going to Philly.
But you have a passport.
I do shows.
You have a passport.
Yeah, but I don't want to use that every time I fly
What's
to
the
fucking
difference?
New Hampshire. That's stupid.
Well, you have to show ID anyway
I
at the
like
airport.
America, being America. I think we just need to figure out why we're in these ideological rifts that are so fucking polarizing and rabid. I think we need to figure that out. I think that's possible. Just like I think the hippie movement came out of nowhere in the 50s. I think there's like a radical, rational, centrist movement that could come about today. I really do. I think there's enough people like you and I that just think this is bananas. This subscribing to one predetermined pattern of behavior and fucking rules of thought. And the other one is like polar opposite of it. And you could switch, but you can only switch once.
Well, yeah, that's perfect. So you have Texas, and you have I don't give a fuck, and you could have your choice. Do you think this is impossible? It's going to happen?
No, I don't think it's impossible. I think if something really horrible happened, it could happen.
Yeah,
Something went down.
I'm thinking of Nigel Farage when he was on the floor of the EU when Brexit was executed, and he said, "When I came here 17 years ago, you all laughed at me. You're not laughing now, are you?" So
17 years from now, you could be correct.
Yeah, it's officially part of the Texas Republican state their bill.
There's a bunch of things.
Platform.
With all due respect for Texans, there's a bunch of things that I don't know if you give Texans the right to vote on.
Oh, I don't know that we're going to be a democracy once Texas becomes free.
There's some wild people living in the state.
Women's suffrage is going to be a question.
No, I don't think that'll be a problem. I mean, they had Ann Richardson was the governor.
Ann Richards, yeah, but that was over 20 years ago.
She was a different kind of Democrat, though.
She wasn't.
Yeah, she was.
How?
She was different than the ones you get today. It was like
that's true.
pre-woke.
Yeah, that's true. She was different than
Pre-woke
today. Yes.
Democrat.
Yeah, she was a sassy broad.
Yeah, and she was like a strong woman. Like she was, you can't be like a wimp.
Yeah, but she got her ass
Texas.
handed to her by George W. Bush.
George W. Bush back then was not bad. There's a misconception. If you go and listen to George W. Bush's speeches when he was running for governor,
sure,
and then look at I don't know what happened to him, but something happened to his ability to speak well.
People forget this. In 2000, he debated Al Gore, who was a senator for many years, very articulate, very bright man, and he won or at least held his own in those debates. 4 years later with John Kerry, he wasn't speaking complete sentences. Poland.
Do you think that he ran a ruse on us?
A ruse?
Yeah.
This guy ran a ruse on us?
This man ran a hustle upon us. Do you think that maybe that's what he did?
How so?
Maybe just played dumb. Like he got too heavy. I'm going to hand this fucking torch over to Cheney. I'm going to be over here painting.
I think he's clearly a lot smarter than he let on.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And he leaned into this kind of like good old boy crap. But I also...
Like Larry the Cable Guy.
Yeah.
That kind of deal.
Yeah, but I don't know. I'm just very excited.
Larry's name is Dan.
Is it really?
Yeah, he's a hilarious comic. Dan Whitney.
He follows me on Twitter.
Larry's a great guy.
It's a character.
It's a character, and he's a funny joke writer. He's a funny guy. He's got some good jokes.
I'm sitting here. I got Alex yesterday to endorse the idea.
You have an idea of leaving Texas?
No,
of leaving
Texas reasserting sovereignty. Yeah, and I think it's going to happen.
Well,
and here's the other reason why I think it's going to happen.
Talk a lot of people into it.
If it was 2014, and I came into this room, and I said, which is more likely, Texas is going to declare its independence, or Donald Trump's going to be our next president? Everyone listening to this would put their money on Texas, and they'd be right to do it.
I don't know. When Trump ran for president, I joked about it on my Netflix special in 2016 before the election. People were laughing.
Yeah.
At the idea. I'm like, he can win.
Yeah, of course. Any candidate. This is the other thing that drives me crazy. Either nominee can win. The idea that like Kamala Harris can't win, or Biden can't win, or Trump can't win, you're crazy. If you have one of the two parties behind you, you have a fighting chance, period.
Yeah, I was saying that I hoped Hillary can win. I hoped Hillary won because I wanted them to have a woman president, so they could say, "Oh, women suck at this too." Everybody sucks at that job.
Julia Louis,
no woman's gonna do a great job. No man's gonna do a great job. They all suck.
Louis Dreyfus was tweeting about how like, "Oh, democracy is great. You should go out and vote." And I just replied to her. I go, "You won several Emmys for showing for years that politicians are sociopaths. That was your character." She blocked me instantly.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Isn't it amazing? No, that's only the character.
Yeah, it's not real life.
In real life,
Everyone's kind, and they
real
look out
life.
for the average person.
yeah, and people just fucking hang themselves 30 miles from their home, and shoot themselves in the chest, and they find no weapon, but they declare it a suicide. Whatever.
Are you?
Whatever, Michael. Maros.
Are you white pilled or black pilled about the future of this country?
Oh, I'm okay.
I'm okay. What does that mean?
I'm okay. I'm like a gray.
What does that mean?
I'm like I don't like it now, but I think we'll have sunnier days.
Yeah, that's white
You know,
pilled.
it's gray.
Yeah, that's not gray. It's white pill.
I'm gray. It's not black and it's not white.
The white pill's hope.
Yeah, but I'm not totally hopeful.
Okay.
The reality of human life
Yeah.
is that we're subject to a host of uncontrollable natural disasters that are imminent.
Yes.
They're going to happen.
Yes.
Yellowstone's going to blow. We're going to get hit by an asteroid, and we might nuke ourselves too.
Sure.
Like all that stuff is real too. So that's
Yes.
all on the table. And also, I've talked to enough people that are like really, they're really educated in the history of ancient cultures and ancient civilizations, and the evidence of natural disasters wiping people out and people having to start from scratch. It seems like we're a part of like this giant never-ending cycle of getting knocked back into the Stone Age and then rebuilding to a new version of complex society. I think we're on a version of that now, but I think there's been many versions of that.
Yeah.
And I think that that's also on the table for us.
But I think it'd be a lot easier for us to bounce back than someone 2,000 years ago with our technology and our ability to. No?
No, not at all. Not at all. Because when it hits, first of all, very few people survive and everything goes to shit. There's no electricity, no generators work, there's no one pumping oil, no one
Wait,
knows
but
how
other-
to make a generator, no one knows how to make a cell phone, so all that technology is lost.
Well, the Jim Baker people do. Wait, so what would this be? Like a meteor? Other than a meteor hitting the Earth, what would
Meteors
cause
hitting.
this?
Super volcano would kill
Okay.
almost all of us. The Yellowstone super volcano, it's a caldera volcano. Like they didn't realize that it was so big until somewhere in like the 2000s, I think it was. They did satellite imagery and they realized, oh my God, that's the caldera of a volcano. Like this Yellowstone thing. We thought it was just this crazy place with hot springs. Like, no, that's a super volcano that is a continent killer. And it blows every 600,000 to 800,000 years, and everyone dies. Like, the whole fucking country dies. And it happens every 600,000 to 800,000 years, and the last time it happened was like 600,000
Well,
years
see, that's
ago.
another reason Texas should be its own country.
Well, we'll get hit. We'll get hit. We're all going to die. If that happens, we're fucked. Like, maybe people in New Zealand will live, and those folks would be the new people. You know, it's happened before. Was it the Toba? Was that what it was? Yeah, in Indonesia. There was a Toba volcano in Indonesia 70,000 years ago. They think knocked the human race down to a few thousand people.
Holy shit, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. These things happen, man, and they happen with regularity. In terms of if you look at the timeline of the Earth, they happen all the time. It's just when. Is it going to happen now, or is it going to happen 1,000 years from now when we have enough technology to mitigate its effects in some way? But when it happens, you get nuclear winter. Everything dies. No crops. Nothing. The sun doesn't get through. The skies are filled with ash.
You can't live
There's no food.
You can't really live your life with concern about something like that happening.
I'm not living my
Okay.
life with concern. I'm saying that's also on the table.
Sure.
So that's why I'm gray.
Okay.
Get it? Because I'm like, yeah, this hopefully it's going to be great. You know, but maybe not. And for all of us, the end is going to suck.
I'm glad to hear you're more concerned, as I am, if I had to choose between natural disaster or like, we're all going to end up killing each other.
I'm concerned with both, but I'm always concerned with things that people are dismissive of or that they don't think of as a threat, because that's when they hit you. When something like people lived in Pompeii, they're like, that volcano, don't worry about it. We're good.
Until you have to worry about it.
Until, they just didn't understand. Like, you're in a terrible spot to put a city. Like, if that thing goes, and it goes all the time, it just doesn't go within your lifetime, so you don't understand. Like, you're dealing with an ant's timeline. An ant to us, an ant lives for a fucking few days.
Right.
They're gone. We live 100 years if we're lucky. Volcanoes are hundreds of thousands of years of activity. And they go on these long cycles, some of them, these super volcanoes, and they just fucking blow, and you never know when it's going to happen. And they create fucking islands in the middle of the ocean. That's what Hawaii is.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a fucking volcano that's sprung out of the ocean. And now you go vacation there and put fucking suntan lotion on, sit out there and have margaritas. You're on a volcano. You're on the creative and destructive force of the earth, the thing that makes mountains, and you're camping out on it. And that's our life. That's the reality of living on Earth. This is not stable. That's why all these nutty people that are talking about climate change is going to kill us, it's going to kill us. It's not good. It's not good that we're polluting. It's not good that we're having a net negative effect on the atmosphere. But also, there's so many other things to be concerned with. We have zero solution to supervolcanoes. We have zero solution to asteroid impacts. We have zero solution to things that have wiped out. We know they killed off the dinosaurs.
Right.
We know that. We know it. We're for 100%. They fucking find the crater in the Yucatan. They find craters all over the place. They found a big one in Greenland or
Isn't
in
there
Iceland.
one in Siberia or somewhere?
Oh yeah, the Tunguska one.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
That's the one that they think happened during the time where Earth passes through this meteor shower. There was a comet shower. How do they refer to it? But I think it's every every November and every June we pass through this thing. And most of the time, it just gives you meteor showers in the sky. You see, people get excited about that. You can kind of predict when that happens. Well, that's why they know that it's going to happen, because it happens during these times we go through this meteor shower. They think that is what happened in Tunguska in the early 1900s, because it happened during that timeline. So whatever this thing was, it didn't even make impact with the ground. It detonated in the sky, and it killed like a million acres or some crazy shit of trees. How much did I know I exaggerated that number? How much did I think I did? How much did Tunguska destroy?
No, but it was like some kind of crazy bomb equivalent.
A bomb. Yeah. Well, that's what they think happened to Earth around 11,800 years ago. That's the Younger Dryas impact theory. It's during the same timeline. 12 megaton explosion. Jeez Louise.
Holy shit, look at that picture.
And to this day, there's no trees there.
Seriously?
Yes, to this day.
Why?
Because it's fucking nuked. I don't know,
but
man.
is it radioactive? Like literally?
It just blew it out, man. I don't know. It just blew out whatever fucking it did to that area. That soil sucks.
Holy crap.
Isn't that crazy?
1908, that wasn't that long ago.
So they think that's also what happened at the end of the Ice Age. They think that the Earth and North America's ice caps got smashed by comets. And that's what caused the Great Lakes, and that's what caused this mass erosion, topographical details in the Earth that lead out to the ocean, like these enormous fucking floods. And that's probably Noah's Ark flood. It probably knocked human beings back into the fucking Stone Age again. So our idea of civilization propping up or emerging around 6,000 years ago, which they used to think, these guys are saying it's probably way earlier than that.
Oh, it's just
probably
a cycle.
20,000 years.
Reboots.
Yeah, and that explains the pyramids. That explains these incredibly complex geometric structures they built in Africa. Who knows how many thousand years ago? How the fuck did they do it? No one knows. No one has any good ideas. All the ideas suck. All of them are ridiculous. And the structures are insane. Who did that? When did they do it? So, they think somewhere around 2,500 years BC. But these guys are saying that you can't carbon date stone. This is all guesswork. And it's really possible that it could be way earlier than that.
Do you don't mean like the Great Pyramid?
Yes.
They know who built the Great Pyramid, don't they?
No, they don't. No, they definitely don't. No, there's archaeologists have attributed it to certain pharaohs, but there's a lot of problems with that. First of all, the Great Pyramids, they said they think they're tombs, right?
Right.
But there's no evidence that they're tombs. They've never found pharaohs in them or anything.
Yeah, aren't they? They have burial chambers.
No. Those are different areas. That's not the pyramids. Not the pyramids themselves. The pyramids are so massive. There's 2,300,000 stones in the Great Pyramid.
The Great Pyramid was the tallest building on Earth until 1860, I think. It was something crazy like that, yeah.
There's stones that were cut from a quarry that was 500 miles away. They have no idea how they did that. No idea how they moved them. No idea how they got them through the mountains. They cut obelisks that were thousands of tons. They moved them through the mountains and got them hundreds of miles away. They have no idea how they did that. They were probably very sophisticated, but in a different way than us. They probably had technology that we haven't figured out yet because we went to combustion engines and electricity, and that's how we figured out how to use the human creativity and constantly innovating when we created technology that went in this way. But it's really possible that another culture 20,000 years ago or whatever had figured out a way to innovate the way we have with combustion engines and electronics, but in a completely different way. I don't know what they would use. I don't know how they did it. But if you imagine human beings going from the Roman Empire 2,000 years ago to what we enjoy today, that's a tiny blip in time when you're talking about 20,000, 30,000 years. If these people figured out some form of technology that we still haven't figured out yet, it's totally possible that that could be the case. And if that's the case, they got hit. They got boom, boom, comets slammed into the earth. A giant percentage of the population died. The people that survived clawed and scraped for generations, and they lived like barbarians, and they forgot everything. And then they rebuilt or moved into the pyramids or
to
claimed
your
it
point,
as their own.
the Sphinx, which is obviously one of the most amazing structures of the ancient world, the Egyptians don't talk about it. Like it's just there, and they don't know when it was built or why. And it's just odd that you imagine talking about New York and never mentioning the Statue of Liberty in your literature. Like it doesn't make sense. So that I know they don't have any kind of good explanation for.
Well, I know. I'm glad you
and
brought
it was
that
buried
up.
for a long time.
The Sphinx was not buried for a long time. It was buried up to its neck.
Yeah.
The Sphinx also has an African face, and it's smaller than the shape of the rest of the body. It's like not in proportion, and it's much newer. Like it doesn't have the erosion. So they think that during the time when the pharaohs ran Egypt, that they might have redone that in the shape of, I forget which pharaoh they're attributed to, but there's some controversy about that. But here's why it's interesting that you brought up the Sphinx, because the temple of the Sphinx is the best evidence that it's older than people think it is. Because the temple of the Sphinx is a guy named Dr. Robert Schoch.
What do you mean the temple of the Sphinx?
The temple that's around the Sphinx. Like
Okay.
the area where the Sphinx is carved out of. So the stones that they cut out of this area to make this this ground, this like flat wall that has a bunch of different kinds of stone in it, and some of it is more dense and harder, and the other stuff is more porous and it gets eroded quicker. So there's all this evidence of thousands of years of rainfall on these walls. And there's a guy named Dr. Robert Schoch, who's a geologist from Boston University. And he measured it, and he went there and looked at it and examined it just from terms of as a geologist, not as a historian, because it fucks with the timeline. Because the last time there was rain in the Nile Valley was 9,000 years ago. So it had to be thousands of years older than that because it has erosion from thousands of years of rainfall. Because the Nile Valley used to be, that's what it was when they first found it, right? When they had to, that was in the olden days. But look how small the face is in compared to the rest of the body. They think it might have actually been a lion originally, and one of the pharaohs decided to have his face.
Okay.
That's why the face is noticeably less eroded than the rest of it. But you see the walls on the outside?
Yeah.
See, that's the temple.
I see what
and
you're saying.
those lines, those fissures, according to Dr. Robert Schoch, he says those lines are a clear sign of water erosion. He's like, you don't get that kind of erosion from sand and wind. He goes, the way there's videos that describe it in cartoon form or in illustration form or images, but those type of fissures are only created with erosion from water, from thousands of years of rainfall. The problem with that is they think that that's 2,500 BC. So what he's saying is, no, it's thousands and thousands of years older than that. And we don't know who did it. We don't know what you're just looking at structures.
Right.
You're just guessing. I mean, they're educated guesses, but when people come along with opposing information or opposing ideas and theories about how it all went down, the archaeologists that have been teaching their version of ancient history, they're very rigid, and they don't want to accept new ideas. They call them racist, or they'll call them
racist.
Yeah. Oh, they call Graham Hancock racist for talking
what?
about this. It doesn't make any sense. It's just they just throw that word at it as if somehow or another redate. It's first of all, even if it's 20,000 years ago, it's Africans. But Africans made the pyramids 100%. You know how I know?
How?
They're in Africa.
Well, no, but I mean, if
It's in
you're
Africa.
ascribing advanced civilization to Africans, that's pro-African. That's not anti-African.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, none of it makes any sense. It's so dumb. It's maybe because he's a white man. By the way, he's married to a brown woman.
Okay.
Beautiful woman who's amazing. But his wife, Santha. So, but the point is like, he's just talking about ancient history. None of it has to do with race or anything. He's just talking about human beings.
Of course.
And they'll come up with all sorts of like pseudoscience labels they put on it and misinformation. And they were telling him this forever. And the more time goes on, the more they find evidence that he's correct. It's happening over and over and over and over and over and over again, to the point where they've moved the dates of complex civilization all the way back to 12,000 years ago now because of Göbekli Tepe. When they first found these fissures in the Temple of the Sphinx, they were like, there's no way, there's no evidence of any culture that existed that was sophisticated that long ago. Where's the culture? Where's the evidence? Well, now they have evidence. So it's like, because of Göbekli Tepe.
What is that?
It's a giant structure in Turkey that's like 12,000 years old.
Okay.
They know it was purposely covered. Someone buried it up. Someone like covered it 12,000 years ago. I guess they know that because the soil samples are uniform.
Okay.
Like,
oh, okay.
like
Yeah.
in terms of when
So
they
it
do
wasn't just gradual over time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're like, this is all the evidence that shows that this was probably covered by like some invading
There
army.
was literally a cover-up of an ancient civilization.
It's
no,
a
but
literal
like literally.
cover-up. Yeah, it's a literal cover-up. Yeah.
When was this discovered?
This was discovered by a goat herder, I believe, or a sheep herder. And he was walking along this mountainside, and he saw
shoot.
this cornerstone
Yeah, okay.
that was sticking up, just like it looked like a right angle that he thought was weird. So he starts digging at it, and he starts moving it around, and then he starts digging around it. And
It looks
then
like Stonehenge almost.
he starts calling in scientists. He's like, hey,
Yeah.
we got some shit here. And so it's immense. It's immense. To this day, they only have, I think, 5% of it or 10% of it has been excavated. And they've found through LIDAR, there's similar structures that are all over the area. So this is just one of many of these structures that was, look, some barbarians probably fucking came in, just slashed everybody up and decided to cover their shit.
Yeah, their holy areas.
Yeah,
like this
fuck
is
you.
This
We're
is
gonna
our house
cover
now.
this.
Yeah.
Fuck you. You know, like think about like what the Mongols did.
Holy crap! This is I've never heard of this.
It's amazing, right? But think
Wow.
about what the Mongols did, where they would like wipe out an entire city, kill everybody with like bows and arrows and knives and shit, and just level the city and do it to the ground. People have been doing that forever. They probably did that to these folks. Whoever had these structures, they probably killed them all and then covered all their shit up. Fuck you.
What about the conquistadors, whatever it was, when
yeah.
they're finding is it the Mayas or the Incas, where they just stood there and their arms were just tired because they just stood there killing guys, just came at them one after another. They just
Yeah.
killed them all day. It was
Yeah.
fucking crazy.
Yeah, the Aztecs thought that they were gods.
Yeah, because they're on horseback
Yeah.
and then they're blonde, so they came over from the sea like they'd been prophesied.
You know what's crazy too is that horses used to be from North America.
And then they moved elsewhere and they came
Yeah,
back.
they died off, and they think they died off at the same time as the impacts.
Oh,
There's like actual evidence, biological evidence that fits with this Younger Dryas impact theory, and that's there's like two coinciding things that Randall Carlson talks about, but the extinction of like 65% of all megafauna on North America. It all happened around 11,000 years ago.
I thought the argument was that that's when humans came and they outcompeted them. That's not the.
Yeah,
that's one theory, right?
That's the berserker theory,
Right.
That we killed so efficiently that we killed off all of them.
Because you had the Thunderbirds, you had the ground sloths,
Mm-hmm.
you had the dire wolves. I think they were here.
The problem with
Cave
that theory
bears.
is you're dealing with like very primitive weapons. When you go back that far, if you go back 11,000 years ago, I don't even think you have archery.
Okay.
I think you have atlatls, which is like a really shitty method of throwing a spear. Like I have a thing for my dog. It's like I don't know what you call it. Like it's a ball thrower, but it's like this little long stick that's curved, and at the end of it's the ball, and it gives
Like
you
a lacrosse
extra
thing?
leverage. Yeah, exactly, like highlight.
Yeah.
something
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that. So you throw it, and the ball goes further. They had something like that for a spear.
Okay.
And they had this thing, and they would just like throw the spear better. But you gotta like sneak up on animals. Like you gotta get real close
yeah.
to them. It's not easy. It's definitely not easy, and you probably stink because no one's figured out soap yet.
And the area is huge.
Yeah.
North America is and South America are gigantic.
yeah, and you're dealing with like plains animals. You want me to believe they wiped out plains animals without horses? Like shut the fuck up. You know, we know what people did to the bison during the time where there was photography, right? So we know because we have actual physical evidence of people standing on top of mountains of bison skulls. People are capable of horrendous mass executions of animals, but they were doing that with long-range rifles.
Right.
It was
and systemically. They were trying to do it right. It wasn't.
That's how they were able to do it so quickly. If you're just talking about people with no horses, because they don't have horses, right? So they're just running around because the horses somehow or another went extinct.
And I don't think they're killing more than they need to. They're not really hunting for sport. They're hunting for food. They're hunting for furs.
Exactly.
They're hunting for bones, whatever.
But they do occasionally kill more than they need.
Sure, but not to the point where I'm going to kill literally every animal around me.
They did cliff drops though.
Okay.
They
the whole herd goes over the cliff and kills everybody. Yep.
Chase the herd off the cliff, and then they would go down around and eat them. But they couldn't eat all of them. It's impossible. So
but that's
a lot
for
of them
herd
started
animals. That's
fires.
not going to explain the predators.
No, but you want to hear something crazy?
Sure.
Those bison drops, like the biological waste all starts to rot, and the gases and the fumes get so extreme that they cause fires. Like they spontaneously burst into flames. And like the countryside in some of these areas where they have buffalo drops, like the sides of the cliff are black with like soot because these fucking buffalo bodies burst into flames.
Holy crap.
Imagine how bad that stunk.
Yeah. I was just playing with there's a exotic zoo here in Johnson City.
Make sure that's true. Make sure that's true. Buffalo, I'm pretty sure it is. Buffalo drops. I just have too much useless information in my head like that. I want to make sure it's accurate. So that might have been one somebody told me, but I don't think it is. I think it's real.
There's a place in Johnson City where there's like a safari here near Austin, and you could go. The bison was just sticking its head in the car and sticking out its tongue. It's the most fun thing ever.
You can
They're
see them
huge.
in Yellowstone. Yeah, I took my family to Yellowstone. We were too close for my comfort. I didn't feel comfortable at all.
Massive, and they can be aggressive. And it's scary.
They fuck people up when
Yes.
they get close to them. There's a good Instagram page called the Taurons of Yellowstone.
Okay.
You know, morons that are tourists.
Yeah.
Taurons. And it's all just people flying through the air.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, it's all just people getting kicked by elk and stabbed, and yeah, it's fucking horrible. People are so stupid. They jump out of their car to like say hi to a bear. Like it's so dumb. Oh yeah.
A bear?
Oh yeah. Dude, people are fucking dumb. They try to take selfies with bears. I think there's like those folks that live in West Virginia that are inbred, and then there's a scale. There's a scale from that to Elon Musk. And somewhere on that scale, you think it's okay to take a fucking selfie with a bear. I don't know.
Crap.
I don't know what that is.
Do you think they watch too much Disney?
I just think they think it's not going to happen to them because it hasn't happened to them yet. I think people have this. That's what I think about like super volcanoes and shit too. It's like it hasn't happened yet, so you think it can't happen.
Or I've never heard of this happening to anyone, so therefore it doesn't really happen.
Can't happen.
Yeah.
I mean, I read about it, but whatever. Dude, California has a grizzly bear as the flag.
Yeah.
It's on the flag. There's no grizzly bears in California. They killed them all. Do you know why they killed them all? Because they killed people. They killed so many people that they got together and they said, we got to kill all these fucking bears. And they killed all of them. And the last guy that died from a grizzly bear was in Levesque, California.
How long ago was this?
They named it Levesque after him. I think his name was I think his name was Stephen Levesque. Yeah, he got fucking destroyed by a grizzly bear. They killed the bear. That was the last bear. And then they fucking named the town after him.
But how are you going to keep bears out of California? It's gigantic.
They murdered all of them.
Yeah, but there's still going to be
with
some
guns
in like Oregon or Nevada who are going to come back.
No, there's no grizzlies in Oregon or Nevada.
Really?
Yeah, there's grizzlies only exist in a few western states. They exist in they don't exist in Colorado, but they do think they might. In fact, my friend Adam Greentree, he did a long hunt in the mountains, the San Juan Mountains of Colorado, and he got video of what he says is a grizzly bear that was off in the distance. Did you see the grizzly bear I posted on my Instagram today?
No, I didn't.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. So people I love this video because it's a camera that's set up and someone put food in front of the camera and a light so that when the grizzly bear walked in, you can get video of this thing walking in. So it's like a little cautious and a little skittish, but you get a sense of what it would look like if that thing was like walking up to you. And any illusions,
Holy crap.
any illusion that you have that you could somehow survive if that thing wanted to kill you should be instantaneously erased when you see this video.
Crap.
Look at the size of that fucking thing. I mean, look at the fucking size of it.
Oh
Play
my
that again because
God.
it's so insane. When you see it walking, the immense power of this thing.
It's like a truck.
And this thing can run 40 miles an hour. Like, you're fucked. Dude. I bet they run faster than 40 miles an hour.
No, there's no way.
I bet they do. Yeah.
No, 40?
Oh,
40's crazy.
You would be stunned. You'd be stunned if you saw how fast a grizzly bear runs.
Yeah, but 40's a crazy speed.
But don't you think a deer could do that?
Brown bear 35, polar bear 25.
Which brown bear 35,
Yeah.
a black bear
And
what?
It's a polar bear 25.
Oh,
Okay, yeah.
okay, 35 miles an hour, close to 40.
Okay,
It's in the neighborhood.
sure.
It's like fast as the fastest human that's ever lived, and they could do it for a long
Oh my
time.
God,
But
look
there's
at
one
that.
running. Look how fast he's running.
That's from a car, yeah.
Yeah, dude, I'm telling you, they're stunningly fast for a big thing. Way faster than us.
Well, so I saw rhinos and hippos. They fucking, they're, it's insane.
Look at that fucker run. Well, they're all muscle. They're just muscle and fat and fur, and thick ass skin.
Do they have stamina though?
Oh yeah, man. They chase moose down.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Right.
all right.
Oh,
They're not
they-
ambush predators. They're
I'm
chase
sorry.
predators.
I don't mean to be defensive.
I was just saying, like,
I felt like I
can they
was
sprint
I got
a
a little
mile
aggressive.
or can they sprint 100 yards and then they go?
None of the animals can
They're out,
sprint a
right?
mile, but they have better endurance than the deer.
Yeah.
They catch them. They just chase after them. They get them in an open area. They just chase after them. There's a great video of this large grizzly bear chasing down this elk, and they're running over like deadfall trees and shit, and the bear just finally gets them. They're just scrambling around. It's almost like you're watching a football play, and then the bear gets them. The bear just chased him down and got him. They get them all the time.
That's
Yeah, bears are so big and so powerful that they have no fear. There's nothing that can fuck them up.
yeah, but well, no, they can be kind of skittish. You ever watch that show
But that's
Alone?
because of people.
Sure, sure.
People and guns. So what I was saying is like Wyoming, Montana, Alaska has a lot. Alaska has a lot. Other states with grizzlies or brown bears, I think that might be it. Idaho definitely has.
Look,
Sorry.
New York State had brown bears.
No.
No?
No. New York State has black bears that are color phase bears.
Okay.
They probably had brown bears at one point in time.
Yeah.
In history, and they probably were eradicated for the same reason why they eradicated them from California. Like, people forget, like, California was all ranches and shit.
Right.
You know, like when people first came out here, the settlers, the homesteaders.
Yeah, of course.
They killed all
it was
those
the gold
grizzly
rush.
bears. Like, fuck this.
You sure there's no brown bears upstate New York?
Yes, I'm sure. There's a color phase black bear, and they are brown.
Yeah, I know what you're referring to. Yeah.
And some of them are blonde. They get to like a blonde color. But there's no grizzlies.
I didn't say grizzlies. I mean, I thought brown bears were.
The brown bears are grizzlies.
It's the same thing?
Yeah, brown bear is the coastal bear. Like Alaska is a brown bear. The brown bears live on the coast. And then the inland bears are grizzlies. But they're the same bear. It's a brown bear.
Okay.
Yeah, there's two different species. They have longer claws. They're a different bear. And they're much more aggressive and much more dangerous than a black bear. But black bears, when they kill people, they're killing people to eat people more often. Brown bears generally don't think of people as food. They don't know what the fuck you are. Like, they're trying to kill moose and
Sure.
deer and eat salmon and stuff like that. Black bear will be like, they've pulled people out of tents and shit. But grizzly bears have done that too.
Well, it's a grizzly man.
Yeah, well, that guy was staying in a place where the bears should have already been in hibernation, and he was out there, and so the only bears that were still out were starving. And so he was like almost like suicide by bear. Like,
Okay.
he was a bear expert. He should have known that. Like, the people that talk about, you know, that area, it's called the grizzly maze, I think, and it's just infested with giant fucking bears. They're huge, man. And when they get older, they don't have enough fat to hibernate, so they have to be up. And they do a lot of cannibalism. Like, he found like
Oh my
cubs that
God.
get eaten. Oh, bears are cannibals. Almost all bears are cannibals. My
my
friend
God.
listen to this. My friend saw these two bears fighting. There was a male bear who came in because there was a female and her cubs, and the female tried to chase off the male bear, but the male bear got a hold of one of her cubs and killed it. And she chased off the male bear after the male bear killed her cubs, and then she ate her cub.
Well, it was, I mean, the dead one, right?
Yes, she ate her dead cub.
Jesus.
Right after she was trying to protect it, the moment it became meat, she ate her cub.
Good Lord, okay.
That's what we're talking about.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
this is not a fucking stuffed animal. And people are like, we need more of them. We need to reintroduce them to Colorado. Like, people want to reintroduce them places. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, and they're the ones
Do you
who
know
are-
what that is?
Yeah. But I think this is the problem. People have this Disney idea of nature.
They certainly do. Yeah, they certainly do. So no, there's no brown bears. I don't know when the last time there was a brown bear in New York. See if there's where brown bears are. What states do brown bears live in? I want to say probably Colorado, but that's controversial. Wyoming definitely has a lot of them.
Oh, only 4 states.
Yeah.
Okay, wow.
Washington State. I forgot Washington State. Okay, Idaho,
2,000
Montana,
left.
and Wyoming. Less than 2,000 remain. Brown bears are far more numerous than the state of Alaska, where there's an estimated 30,000 bears, about 95% of the entire population in the United States. Holy shit.
Wow.
How about those people that live on that island that just get giant bears like coming
What
to their
island?
island all the time? Which is the island where the guy shot the bear through the door in the head as it was like trapped in his house? This bear got into this guy's house. They came downstairs and they heard all this noise, and the neighbor came over while the bear was in the guy's house and shot it through the head, through the front door.
Admiralty Island. Wow.
Pull that story up, because this story is fucking wild.
And there's also
And the
Kodiak Island
photos-
for the Kodiak bears.
Yeah,
Good
the
Lord.
Kodiak bears, which are the biggest bears. But all those bears on that side, the coastal bears, they call brown bears. That's like Alaska bears. And they're way bigger, because they have so much salmon.
Yeah.
They're eating so much fish, and they eat like dead whales and shit, and they're fucking enormous. Which grizzly bear hoax?
Oh, it's a hoax. Is it a hoax?
No. This is a new story. It happened, I think it was on a Fognac. Man kills Kodiak.
Oh, it's a
That's
Kodiak,
it.
even
Yes.
bigger.
Okay, so click on that. So this is the
Oh my
house.
God.
So this bear was trying to get into his fucking front door. The bear got in somehow and then couldn't get out. And so it was trapped in like his the front area of his house. And his neighbor came over, and the bear was like trying to get through the door to get out, and he shot it through the door and killed it.
Holy crap.
Yeah, holy crap, dude. Can you imagine you go downstairs, there's a fucking
During a
10-foot
storm,
bear in your
right?
house?
Yeah.
How big was the bear? A 12-gauge slug to the head through a wooden door in the middle of the night during a storm. That guy's never going to forget that fucking night.
Yeah, no shit. Holy crap.
How big was the bear? Look how big it is. Look at when he's got it on. Look how they got it
my
like hanging. You
God.
see how big it is.
That's
oh my
gotta be like
God.
10 feet or something, no?
It's got to be 10 feet.
Easy.
Easy. Half ton.
That's 1,000 pounds.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Look at the size of that thing when it's lying there dead. Look at the claws on it. But that's just a real monster. It's a real, it really exists. It's a,
His wife said, baby, there's a bear.
the bear's nose is at my bedroom doorway, looking right at my wife. Oh my God. The bear had come through the front door, somehow bumping it closed, walked through the living room, through the kitchen, past the leftover fried chicken on the counter, and stopped directly in front of the family's washer and dryer. It was looking at Maribel lying in bed.
Why wouldn't it get the food?
I don't know, because it smelled live things. Scroll back up again
Oh
so I
my
can read
God.
what she said. She says, it took me a quarter of a second to decide to pull the trigger, Olsen said. Jesus Christ.
Holy crap.
Oh my God. So he shot it, and then the bear, so he shot it with a Colt 45. So let me scroll down a little bit there. Okay. Despite Olsen's immediate decisiveness, he knew he had to take his shot carefully. He had to shoot around the corner of a bedroom where his 2 youngest children were sleeping. As he pulled the trigger to send a 45 Colt round through the bear's shoulder, his inner voice reminded him, don't hit the kids. When I pulled the trigger, I couldn't see its head. I hoped that the first shot hit him in the shoulder. Whether from pain or fear, the bear managed to turn its mammoth body around inside the confines of the home's tiny hallway, likely an attempt to get back out the way he came in. Olsen followed the bear through his house. I was pulling the trigger while shouting, "Get out of my house," along with a lot of logger and fisherman words that I've learned over the years, he said. There was not an ounce of fear in me at that moment. It was all business. It was just rage and the maddest I have ever been. I could not believe this thing was in my house. I was furious.
Oh my God.
Holy shit.
How could there be no fear when you have this thing in your house?
Olson put 3 of the 4 rounds he fired into the bear. A 45 Colt is not designed to bring down a 988-pound bear instantly. It's not big enough, he said. You need a bigger gun. Scared and injured, the enormous bear made a valiant effort to escape Olson's house. It staggered into the home's Arctic entry, a kind of 8-by-8-foot mudroom lined with shelves that the family uses as a pantry. It was thrashing around in there, but he couldn't get out. Somehow the door ended up closed. He would have left if he could have, but that stupid door shut behind him. Because a wounded Kodiak bear could be far more dangerous than an uninjured bear, Olson saved the last round in his revolver just in case the bear tried to leave the pantry. I could hear him breathing. The girls could hear him in their room too. Olson said, I kept yelling at the girls to stay in their room. I did not want them coming out of that doorway. He was thrashing around, trying to get out every once in a while, and it had evacuated its bowels on the carpet, Olson said. He was scared. So he calls for backup. He calls his friend.
Wow.
His
This is a
friend
whole long
comes over.
process.
Yeah. So one of my buddies got a call. He was going up there to Olson's house. Hellman said his wife called my wife because she didn't want him going alone. So she woke me up. Hellman grabbed his Remington 870 tactical shotgun and a handful of Winchester XP 1-ounce copper sabot slugs. That's a big round. And headed up the road into his neighbor's house. Hellman said he had relied on the slugs for hunting, and they leave the muzzle with an intense 2,489 foot-pounds of energy. When I showed up, the bear was sitting right behind the front door, and there's a glass window in the door, Hellman said. You could just see it sitting there with its head moving up and down like it was either licking its wounds or eating something. I'm not sure which. It's probably licking the part where it got shot,
Yeah,
right?
no shit, yeah.
So he said, I was about 10 feet from the door. I timed the shot for when its head was below the glass. I wanted to shoot through the wood part of the door, not the glass. When I shot, it shook the whole house. The copper slug hit the mark, traveling under the heavy bear's jaw and through its brain. After I shot, we moved up to the door and shined a flashlight in there. We could see it laying there motionless, but we wanted to give it plenty of time. The last thing I wanted to do was go in the back door and be in the living room with an injured bear. That's why I made a choice to shoot it right through the door instead of going in there with it. Holy fuck, dude.
Then they had to get it out of the house, too.
Those motherfuckers survived when the rocks hit. When the comets hit,
Yeah.
the bears lived. They lived. Everything else died.
What's
Saber-toothed tigers died. Horses died.
What's the most dangerous thing that we have around here in Austin?
There's mountain lions here.
Okay.
There's not a lot of them, but they've spotted them.
Okay. Are there
there's
must be rattlesnakes, too.
Yeah, there's rattlesnakes. There's big coyotes. You know, I wouldn't worry about you, but if you have children, I'd worry about them. They killed dogs. They killed a buddy of mine's dog recently. That's everywhere, though. That's the whole
Yeah.
country now. Coyotes are literally in every fucking state.
That's okay. Well, at least we don't have bears.
Yeah, we don't have bears. But we do have more tigers in private collections in captivity than all of the wild of the world.
Yeah, I think, doesn't Texas have no restrictions on
Yeah.
a pet? There's a pet store here where they have a sloth. And they have, and I was funny because Blair comes over and she's like, "Oh, I think I saw this like monkey-like thing at this pet store. I think it's a sloth." And I'm like, "Shut the fuck up! You cannot have a sloth at a pet store." She's like, "I think it's a sloth." I'm like, "All right," and I'm showing her pictures, and she's like, "I think that's it." And I made her call them, and she's like, "Sir, what was that thing in the window?" They're like, "Do you mean the sloth?" You go there. There's a sloth. And its best friend is an iguana, her best friend, excuse me. And the sloth likes licking the salt from the iguana's nostril, but it's in this amazing pet store. They have a sloth. And
There's
she's been there for 15 years or something.
A kangaroo problem in Texas.
No.
Yeah.
Is that a euphemism?
No, there's a real kangaroo problem. Dudes have kangaroos as pets, and they get out.
And they're breeding?
I don't know if they're breeding yet, but people have spotted kangaroos, and one guy's kangaroo got out, and he had to lure it back to the house with milk. Because, like, kangaroos don't have to listen to you.
Right, yeah.
They get pretty big.
Yeah, and they
Yeah.
get aggressive.
Well, I don't know what the fuck's going on. What's up with all the kangaroos loose in Texas?
What's up? What's up?
Two roos.
This headline
recently-
from the last week?
Yeah. Two roos recently went walkabout, calling attention to the fact that in Texas it's legal to keep them as pets, but that doesn't mean you should. No, it doesn't mean you should. But it's also legal. You know, it's like that's why we got to keep guys like Beto O'Rourke from being the governor of Texas, because he would stop the kangaroos.
Well,
that's one of the first things he would do. People would complain.
Do you know where that won't
Kangaroos are racist.
Do you know where that won't be a problem?
Where?
The Republic of Texas.
Interesting.
It'll be part
What
of
if he
our
can become president
it'll
of
be
the
part
Republic of
it'll
Texas?
be part of our Constitution.
How long does here's I'm going to throw this out there.
Yeah.
What's a good amount of time someone should be president?
0.
So how do we run things with no president?
Well, here's the problem with term limits. Well, it's simple. Everyone does what they're supposed to. And
The problem with term limits is when you start out, you're doing the toughest job in the world, and you're a newbie.
Well, also that you're incentivized to get all. You don't have a long time span, so you don't really have a concern about what happens in year 9 because you have no possibility of being reelected. So the incentive, and if you look at New York, term limits got us De Blasio, right?
Yeah.
Because Bloomberg was there for 2 years, he cheated, he made it
Yeah.
a third term, he got his third term, he got elected. De Blasio comes in, and it's just like if
Fucks everything up.
I mean, when's the last time you were in New York? Pretty recently. I'm
Pretty
guessing.
recently, yeah.
It's It's so awful. I could talk about this all the time. It's just so heartbreaking to see.
I was in New York during the pandemic, and we heard gunshots while we we're getting falafels.
Are you serious?
Yeah. Yeah, we're at a falafel stand, and we're at bang, bang, bang. It's like, oh, gunshots.
Did you see?
2 in the morning in New York City.
And you saw Lori Lightfoot when she lost her nomination. She said, I've made Chicago a better and safer city." Like, these people are shameless.
Ooh, I think they're crazy. I think that's why they're running in the first place. I mean, she used to dress up. Remember, she dressed up like a superhero
That's right. Yeah.
to fight COVID. She's a crazy person.
Yes. You could see it in her eyes.
Yeah, but they like the idea of having her. I think it's more the idea than the actual person. I think we're in this time where you look at the performance of some of these people that are in these places that always vote blue, and you go, this is kind of crazy that you guys are sticking to this way of running cities when it always fails. Like it fails spectacularly almost every time.
But there's different ways of voting blue failing.
Oh yeah.
Like, it's not always voting blue means crime.
No, but it
could just-
seems like that today. It seems like that now, that voting blue means being softer on crime. It means that you recognize that there's too many people in prison, and that the United States has more people in prison than any other country in the world, and that we have a prison industrial complex, and that you have corrupt judges, and you have incompetent lawyers, and you have a lot of factors that lead to people to be prosecuted for crimes that they didn't really commit, and they get incarcerated.
Or things that shouldn't be crimes to begin with.
Yeah, many of them.
Yeah.
Well, probably like a large percentage of people in this country in jail for drugs. Right? I don't know what that percentage was, but I do know that it was a scam when Biden was saying, everybody's in jail for possession of marijuana, you're going to be free. But there's no one in jail for possession of marijuana in a federal prison.
Right. It's all state.
It's all
state laws, yeah.
distribution. It's all sales. It's all like you're a drug dealer. It's not like you just have weed.
Yeah, but it's
like
all-
he's saying marijuana possession. Like how much?
Well,
what if I have 1,000 pounds?
What they call that, intent to distribute, right? At a certain point, it
Yes,
doesn't
you're a
consider
fucking drug dealer.
Or it could be you're just a big drug user.
Well, at a certain point, you can't argue that. Like if you go over some dudes' houses, like in California where it's legal, right? Go to like Be Real from Cypress Hill's house. Like,
Okay.
What kind of fucking compound with what? I mean, he's probably got every kind of weed known to man
But it
at
could
his
be
house.
a Jim Baker situation, right? That he's waiting for the
preparing for the
rapture.
apocalypse.
So he's got tables
Yeah.
made out of,
Yeah.
of kush.
But I mean, if you go to most people's house, you find a couple of joints. But it doesn't mean that he's selling. It just means he likes weed more.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like if you go to my friend is a wine collector. You go to his house, he has this like enormous wine room. And it's all like temperature controlled and shit. He's not a wine dealer. If wine was illegal, you wouldn't say that this guy's a fucking criminal. He's about to sell wine to everybody. No, he likes wine.
When I did grand jury, this was some of the things they were trying to put people away for. And these were like teenagers. And they wanted to get them, like, he's got 1 pound, 2 pounds, I don't remember what it
Oh, my
was,
God.
of weed, let's put away. And it's not that hard to convince people to let them walk. It's like, listen, do you want to ruin this kid's life because he has a lot of weed? And people are like, yeah, you're right.
It's stupid.
And the
Weed should
DAs
be
come back
100% legal.
And the DAs come back and they're confused because we refuse to indict them, even though they had them dead to rights. So that's something people can do to
So
kinda
that's
keep people in
great.
jail.
The violent crime thing,
Yes.
though, is not great. And when people commit violent crimes, oftentimes they're mentally ill. And if you just let those people right back on the street and they just got away with committing a violent crime, the chances of them committing a violent crime again are probably pretty fucking high.
Yeah, but they don't
especially
need-
people that have like a long history of violent crime.
But they don't need to be mentally ill. If it's legal for me to steal from CVS or Dwayne Reed, I could just go in with my shopping bag, fill it up. They're not going to stop me.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get arrested. If I get arrested, I'm still up ahead.
Yeah.
So why not do it?
Why not do it? And then, what is it? Which one was it? Walgreens that pulled out of Portland, or Walmart? Did Walmart pull out of Portland?
Because just the thefts?
They're like, we can't do this anymore. Yeah, like you guys are crazy. Like you're just letting people steal things. Like,
Yeah.
this is nuts. You steal up to $900 worth of stuff, and no one's supposed to stop you. So
Well,
people
this-
just walk into stores and steal things.
Yeah,
Like,
but this was the thing in like the late 60s, early 70s, and this was a big problem for the Democratic Party because they were big on like so-called like civil liberties, civil rights, things like that in this context of rights of the accused. And it was Clinton and Al Gore in 92 who campaigned as we're new Democrats. The line was we don't think the way the old Democrats do, we're for the death penalty. And that was them kind of turning their back on this, what was perceived as, or perhaps was, soft on crime version
Sure.
of the Democratic Party.
Well,
and now
the
that's kind
Biden
of
thing.
that's kind of fallen by the wayside.
Yeah.
Those headlines.
Mayor Adams to New York City shoppers, drop that mask. To prevent robberies, Mayor Eric Adams is telling shopkeepers to bar customers who refuse to lower their masks when they first enter stores.
Good Lord.
Oh, boy. When they first enter stores. I
But
just
it's
can't
like
believe
you come
people
in
are
the
still
store, I show
walking
you
around
my
with masks
face,
on.
then I put the mask back on, and you're not going to remember what I looked like.
I just can't believe that people are still wearing masks.
Yeah.
Especially after these studies have come out. We have data on it now, folks. They pretty much agree that it doesn't work.
Yeah, but it does work because you're signaling in-group signaling.
Yeah, you're in-group signaling.
Yes.
It works for that. And it works for people that are paranoid.
There's a guy.
And it may be like N95 masks might offer you like some fucking like very slight level of protection. I don't know.
There's
Maybe
a-
it's better than not having one. But
There's-
Jesus Christ, as a requirement, it's ridiculous.
There's a dude who goes to my gym who's like 5'2", and he's squatting like 500 pounds. And he's in a mask every single time for months. And I'm so curious what he's thinking and what's going on. Because obviously he knows about his health and taking care of his health.
Maybe he has bad teeth.
Well, you're
Doesn't want you to see his teeth.
Habsburg jaw.
I think there was a study recently that like unattractive people are far more likely to keep their masks on. I think people don't like people looking at their face if they don't feel good about their face. And, you're a good looking guy. You're lucky.
I don't know about that, but
You're,
yeah,
you're definitely not ugly.
I don't know about that either.
You're
But
not ugly.
thank you.
But some people, unfortunately, didn't get born with the best face, and they don't like it. And maybe they don't like what they look like. Maybe they don't like the fact that they gained weight and they got a double chin. Slap a mask on.
Yeah, but
and then
the-
you feel anonymous. You
guy's
feel like you can
jacked as-
skate by.
The guy's jacked as hell.
Right, but some people
I
just
guess they only see the ugliness. They don't see the results.
maybe some people just want you to look at their body only, and maybe that's what he's doing. By just getting jacked as hell.
I think I'm gonna have to go up to him at the gym like a complete lunatic. Be like, hey, I was talking about you with Joe Rogan. What's up with the mask? dude?"
Yeah, bring it up. Why not?
It's just and then
Maybe he has a disease.
then I'm sitting there thinking, should I be wearing the mask? Because then maybe I'd be squatting more. Because he's clearly better at the gym than I am.
I don't think that's how it works.
Well, I don't know. I'll take whatever help I can get.
Hey, follow the science.
Yeah, I'm like, was this your cycle? You wear the mask for 16 weeks, then you go out of a cruise,
Yeah,
and
it's
then you go,
oxygen deprivation somehow or another makes you inflate.
What are you most excited? Oh, let me talk about this book. I'm here to talk about
Yeah,
the book.
you have a book.
I've been working on this for 2 years.
The white pill.
The white pill.
Michael Malice.
Because
So what do you think? What is white pill for you? It's optimism.
no,
No.
the white pill is hope.
Hope. Okay.
The
What's the
black-
difference between hope and optimism?
Because optimism means I think everything's going to work out, and hope is
Okay.
I'm not convinced that that's the case, but
I
I'm
hope it works out.
I'm certainly like if someone has a deadly disease, you may not be optimistic that like you're going to be here for 5 years, but you certainly have to live as if you are
Yeah.
and have that hope that you're going to pull through.
That's true.
So that's kind of a big key difference because optimism, I think, is often foolish.
Hmm.
Like if people, one of the reasons people get blackpilled or kind of give up hope because they keep thinking, oh, when Trump gets in or when Biden gets in or DeSantis or someone gets in, everything's going to work out. It's like, it's not how it works. If you keep putting your eggs in the basket that this guy in a white horse is going to come and save you, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
They can maybe make improvements, but no one person, and this on the other side, no one person can destroy this country either. I mean, these Republicans who think Biden is just one election away from destroying America, I'm like, get the fuck out of this country then. If you think one president can destroy this country.
Yeah, well, it's kind of amazing that the country runs as smoothly as it does
Yes.
with Biden in charge. I mean, it kind of shows you how all the checks and balances and all the different branches of government are actually pretty effective in some way. I mean, it's not a fucking perfect system by any stretch of the imagination, but the way it operates right now, it can operate with that guy as president.
Or, I mean, I'm sure he's got a crack team behind him.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Like the guy who steals luggage.
Oh, is that funny? Are they still in the Lamb? Or did they catch him?
Oh, they got him. Yeah, he got arrested.
Okay.
Yeah, because now they know that he's stolen like multiple bags, right? Didn't they arrest him? I feel like they arrested him.
I know he had warrants.
Yeah, I think he's fucked. Yeah,
Okay.
because there was a woman who was a designer. out
Right,
of
I saw that.
Houston.
Yeah.
He stole her, allegedly stole her clothes and was like wearing
No,
her
because
very specific clothes.
Right, because it was
Yeah.
something she wore to some award show or something.
Yeah,
She's like, wait a minute.
Yeah, she's a designer, so she has like cool clothes.
So he's got a good eye.
Well, I don't think he knows. I think he's just getting lucky and stealing people's luggage.
Is it kind of like if you play Russian roulette enough times, you're going to hit the bullet?
Yeah, I think he just looks around at a bag. It looks like a girl's bag and grabs it.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Oops, I thought it was mine.
Yeah,
That's
oops.
why I took it out and put all the clothes on.
That happened to me once. I was with a friend at a bar in Manhattan, and some girl just like took her bag and was trying to play like, "Oops, I got confused." I'm like, "You're lying," and then she got offended. Why I didn't believe her bullshit. I'm like, non-binary ex-nuclear race. Investigated the FBI. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Investigated by the FBI for stealing fashion designer's luggage at Washington Airport. But was he arrested? He got investigated for that, but I thought he was charged with something because he got caught with more than one time. This would be a third time.
Holy crap.
Imagine if that's all his clothes. It's like he doesn't want to go because he has a beard and a mustache. I don't want to go buy women's clothes. People get mad at you.
Well, you have Amazon. They don't get mad at you. They'd be like, "Come on in. Oh my God."
Maybe.
Those white,
Depends on where you're going.
those like white liberal women working those stores, they'd be tripping over themselves to have them. Am I wrong? Have them as a customer.
Some of them would. Isn't that
Of
wild?
course.
Isn't that wild? Like, what happened?
They hate dad.
Is that what it is?
Yes, this is their way to show dad how much they hate him.
The patriarchy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you're amazing. You have lipstick on. Oh my God.
Meanwhile, that's the patriarchy. It's men assuming
men taking
the
over women's
role
spaces.
of women. Yeah. And being the more dominant woman.
This is
yeah.
3
Okay.
weeks ago, though.
Okay.
It's
Appear
on
in court
timeline,
today.
out of order. The FBI thing was reported a couple days ago.
Okay, so he's got layers of drama.
It's got some great lips. Let's see. Let's scroll down.
He looks like a Dick Tracy
If
villain.
convicted on the charge, Brinton, who previously served as Deputy Assistant Secretary for Spent Fuel and Waste Disposition at the Department of Energy's Office of Nuclear Energy, could face up to 5 years in prison, a $10,000 fine, or both.
Wait, I didn't realize he stole this while he was working for the government.
Yeah.
I thought this was past shit. That
No.
caught up to him.
He's like constantly been doing it. I
Oh
think.
my God.
They caught him. I think this is the third time they know for sure he did it. But he could have probably done it before, and people just never. You know, bags wind up missing all the time, man. But they caught him on film stealing someone else's bag. So there's more than one instance of him definitely doing it.
Holy crap.
That was his move.
Yeah.
Probably got a cheap thrill out of it. You know, do you remember when, you know, like sometimes like you'll find like a famous actress gets
Like
busted
Winona.
shoplifting. Yeah. Yeah, she got busted. Like, what was that? It's probably fucking fun. Wild.
Well, it's not like she couldn't afford it.
Yeah, it's a wild
Maybe she was
thrill.
high, so who
It's a
knows?
wild thrill.
Yeah.
I dated a girl in high school who got caught shoplifting.
Been caught stealing?
Yeah, she was. She would do clothes. She would like go to a store and clothes she couldn't afford. She'd put them on or put them on underneath her clothes, and she got caught and busted. It was like a big deal.
Dude, I'm going to confess something that I've never admitted to before
Okay.
here on this minor show that no one listens to or watches, so I'll be perfectly safe. When I was in high school, my friend Arthur and I went to the New York Aquarium, and they have an estuary exhibit. And in this estuary exhibit was a species of fish which I found very unusual, which I really liked, called a spiny boxfish, which is not a boxfish, it's a relative of the porcupine fish. And we got a cup, and it was a low tank, no cover, and we got it. We stole the fish
Oh my
from the
God.
New York Aquarium.
How did you get it out?
You just get a cup. The thing was an inch long. It was a baby. And we just got it with the cup, and
Whatever happened to it?
I put it in my tank, and it thrived for quite some time.
How long?
I don't. It must have been maybe months.
Wow.
Yeah. So I stole a fish from the New York Aquarium, and I don't regret
Wow.
it for a second. And they're very hard to take care of in captivity, that species.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
It's a good theft.
Yeah.
It's like, overall, did the fish have a worse life? You definitely stole property.
I did steal property,
Yeah, I
public
mean,
property.
But isn't it weird that life is property?
I remember
weird.
what he did. He put it, no. He put it like on his head under his hat for a second until we got out of the room.
Like flopping around?
Yes.
Oh, Christ.
If I'm remembering correctly.
Oh, my God.
Then I also had a cup of water from saltwater
Oh
because
my
of saltwater
God.
fish.
Oh, my God.
But we got it home.
Wow.
That was.
How long was the drive home?
Oh, it's a walk. It was like a block.
Oh, okay. Good.
Yeah,
Because,
yeah,
like, how
it's-
much oxygen is in that salt water? That
This-
cup.
You're fine. They could be in there for a day easily. Because there's
Really?
no surface. So if you just stir it, it's oxygenated. You're
Oh, you just got to stir it every now and then?
Yeah,
Bubble
they're
it up?
perfectly fine. Yeah.
Isn't that wild that that's where they get it?
What do you mean?
The oxygen in the water. You could just stir it and they get oxygen in
Well,
there.
it's mixing at the surface.
I know, but isn't that crazy that that's how they breathe? You have to do that to them. We could imagine if we found civilization underwater
Okay.
that existed breathing water the same way a fish does. Like, why are fish all dumb?
Well, they're not dumb at all. What are you
They're
talking
dumb
about?
as
Now
fuck.
I'm offended. Okay.
They're dumb as fuck. Listen, the only thing that's
No,
smart.
you listen.
Orcas are smart.
Orcas aren't fish.
Right, because they're not fish. They're mammals.
They're-
Same as I was going to say. Anything that breathes air is smart. Everything that breathes underwater, fucking idiots.
That's not. That's
Just
not.
running around eating each other and
That's
shit.
not true at all.
The only thing that's smart is octopuses.
Okay, the guy who runs Octonation, Warren, he lives in Austin too. I've become pals with him, so shout out to Warren. There are
Cuttlefish are smart too.
they just learned how to do the marshmallow test.
Oysters are dumb as fuck.
Oysters don't have brains.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
But these aren't fish.
They're not.
There are lots.
technically,
there
they're
are
mollusks.
there are lots of fish species that are very intelligent.
Like which ones?
Porcupine fish, triggerfish.
The archerfish is an example of a smart fish species that can use tools to make life easier.
They're not smart.
Especially when it comes to feeding. Archerfish squirt jets of water out to insects on plants, and they can recognize the size of the prey and adjust the size of their squirts accordingly.
But that's not an intelligence thing. That like they live in brackish
Adaptation.
water. Yeah, there's like 3 or 4 species of them. They have some in Dallas, the clouded archer, which are really kind of rare in captivity, and they train them to shoot food that's on a glass little.
Adaptation is so strange.
But it's not the same thing as intelligence.
No.
Intelligence is like problem solving. If you look
Right.
at like triggerfish sculptures, the sculptures that they make, and they rearrange their environment. When you're having something that manipulates its environment, that's a sign of intelligence.
Triggerfish manipulate their environment and make sculptures?
Oh yeah, look up triggerfish.
First of all, just for everybody, I was joking around about them being stupid.
Okay.
They're pretty dumb, though. I mean, they don't even have cell phones. They live in the ocean.
I tend to think people have cell phones tend to be dumb.
Yeah,
It's
they
not-
didn't invent it, though. They
my
don't invent
first
shit.
the reason I'm sensitive about this issue is the very first paycheck I ever got was writing for an aquarium magazine when I was in high school.
Okay.
Tropical Fish Hobbyist magazine. So I've been on this train for a very long time.
The adaptation of animals on this planet is so bizarre sometimes that it confuses me. Like something is off in the laws of reality. Like, have you ever seen a viper caterpillar? It's like a caterpillar that disguises
With the
itself
butt,
as
the
a
butt
viper.
looks like a viper.
Like exactly,
Yeah.
with eyeballs and everything, and a diamond-shaped head.
Well, what about-
which is what scares off other creatures? Like that head represents venomous or
Right.
predatory.
But what about ant spiders?
I don't know what an ant spider is.
A spider that looks like an ant, and spiders have 8 legs, ants have 6. So the spider's 2 front legs are always up in the air as if they're antennae, and they smell like the ants.
Whoa.
And there's another species of ant
And they
spider.
just hang around the ants and eat them.
I don't know if they eat the ants, but they certainly are protected because think about it. If you're surrounded by ants, no one's attacking you. And then
Right.
there's a species of ant spider where the mandibles are stretched out so it looks like it's carrying a dead ant.
Whoa.
So but that's not a sign of intelligence.
No, just adaptation.
Yeah.
But that adaptation is
See?
insane. Whoa. These are cuttlefish.
Triggerfish,
Triggerfish.
Triggerfish didn't give me anything. I had to type in which fish makes sculptures.
Okay.
And it said it was a pufferfish.
Oh, puffers.
Oh,
Okay.
pufferfish.
Same order.
Look how beautiful that is.
Yeah.
That's amazing because it's geometrical.
And if you have them in your tank at home, they'll like rearrange the furniture to make it more to their liking.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's wild. I wonder why they do that.
To mate. So-
Courtship.
yeah.
Oh,
You're,
just show bitches how your house looks.
yeah. Look at
Check
this.
out my house, yo.
It's amazing.
I'm a pufferfish.
What about like bowerbirds, right? When they make these big, huge structures, and anything blue they put in there because apparently the females like blue.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So, but fish are much smarter than people realize. Because think about it. If you're in freshwater, you're going to have a short lifespan, especially if it's seasonal. But in the ocean, some of these things live for 20 years. So if you have that longer lifespan, it's going to tend to have much more kind of problem solving and more investment in sustaining that organism, as opposed to like having, oh, I'm just going to get eaten in a year. Who cares? Just going to cycle through the life cycle quickly.
It is fascinating that world exists right next to our world, and supposedly life in the ocean. I mean, all life came at one point in time from water, right?
Right.
That's the thought process. So they evolved on their path, we evolved on our path, but on the ground, you manipulate things more. The ground intelligent creatures manipulate things more. So we have this idea in our head that we're smarter than like dolphins and orcas. They actually have larger brains than ours. Like dolphins are bizarrely intelligent. Like we don't even know how intelligent they are. But they just don't need to exhibit any sort of control over their environment the way we do.
Well, it's harder for them because they don't have hands. Yeah, obviously.
But they didn't evolve that. They didn't need to manipulate their physical environment because they can move through 3D space as a dolphin, and they can just eat fish and follow them around and stay in the warm waters, and they're good. Like there was no need to get to the place where we are, where we're just a subject to so many different animals and so many different like invading tribes and all the crazy shit that
their environment's a lot more stable than ours.
It's cool. It's fish.
Yeah.
That's a tusk fish. It's a type of wrasse.
Breaks clams.
Well, then you think about like white sand beaches. And all those white sand beaches are made by fish.
But parrotfish, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, what? How many fucking parrotfish and how long? Like, what are you talking about?
It's many, hundreds of thousands of years, no?
Crazy.
And when they shit, you could see a cloud of sand come out their ass.
And we're just running nets through this place, just scooping up everything we can and serving it as sushi.
No, that's not true. You don't. This is like
No,
you
I'm not saying like here at this. No, not doing it protected reefs. But in the ocean, like the overfishing in the ocean is out of fucking control.
They're not going to be there because they eat coral. So they're going to...
No, these ones. Yeah, of course, these animals. Like that's a protected reef. But I'm saying the ocean in general. The ocean in general, like you ever seen those documentaries? There's been quite a few that they do the Japanese fish markets where these guys bring in these big tunas and they auction them.
People don't realize how big these tunas are.
They're massive.
They're like the size of an SUV.
But these guys all talk about how much less tuna there is now.
Okay.
It's much harder to get tuna than it used to be.
And it's not that easy to farm them either.
They're fucking big, man. They're big. They had a storm that hit Hawaii, and they had a bunch of yellowtail that they were farming. So they had like this whole area
yellowtail
sort of like
snapper
netted in. It's like yellowtail's like a tuna. It's like in the tuna family, I believe. And it was it's like a really aggressive fighting fish. It's delicious too. People love them for sushi. I think they were actually breeding them for sushi. So a storm hit anyway, and their enclosure got fucked up by the storm, and they all got out. And so people were catching them. I caught a couple of them. And it's
how big were they?
They're pretty big. Like 10 pounds, 15 pounds.
That's the size of a fish.
It was like that big fucker. Like great fighters. And delicious. We ate them, bring them back we were staying at the Four Seasons in Maui, bring them back, and the chef cooks it for you. It was amazing. But like that's part of the peril of those sort of farming operations. You have to kind of do them in the ocean. So you have to like segment off a spot in the ocean and net it up and not let anything get in there. But storm fucked that up.
Yeah, because they can't keep them in tanks, or they have the tanks big enough, or it's not going the water quality is not going to be the same as it is in the ocean with the micronutrients and things like that.
Yeah, I guess I don't know what they feed them. I don't know how they do it. They probably like dump stuff out of boats or something. Yeah, and just try to like fatten them up for sushi markets.
Have you ever seen this thing, a tuna boil?
I've seen that with I think they're called jack crevalles in Mexico. I was fishing in Mexico, and you would just cast a line into that chaos, and immediately you would catch a fish. Like immediately.
That's what they thought that shark thing was we pulled up last week. And they got up close to it, and it turns out it wasn't just tuna. It was a bunch of fucking sharks eating them.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Holy
so the tunas are going crazy and the sharks are going crazy at the same time.
Because don't the tunas circle schools of smaller fish and make them into balls, and then the sharks circle the tuna or whatever it is?
Look at the size of the boil. Like, look at how many sharks there are. Hundreds. Chaos. You imagine if you just said, I hate life, and just fucking swan dived into that?
Good Lord.
You imagine the end, like how long it would take for them to just rip
I
you
don't
to
think it would be
shreds?
that easy. I think
What are you talking
I
about?
think they
Jump
might.
in and find out. Then.
Bro, you're made out of Play-Doh.
I wish I could go one episode of the show that Jamie tell me to kill myself.
They would bite through you like a Twinkie. Why would you think that it would be hard for them?
I'm not saying it would be hard. I'm saying it's not at all intuitive to me that immediately they'd be going after me because they're not going after each other, right? So they're going after things that are small.
I bet they're biting each other too.
You think so?
Yeah. I bet they're accidentally biting each other.
Right. So the first one
Yeah.
accidentally, then I'm bleeding, then I'm fucked.
You're fucked.
Because then they're
I think you're
swarming me.
fucked right away. I think you're fucked right away.
I don't.
This says possibly up to hundreds of the sharks were in there.
Wow.
At least dozens, if not
Yeah,
hundreds.
I think every person that jumped into that would be fucked immediately. I think if you hated, a guy and you wanted to get rid of him.
I don't think I'm getting out. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I don't think it'd be like piranhas where it's instant.
Piranhas aren't instant.
If you're bleeding, you're
No, they cut things and they bite things. Like this idea that they're going to burn right through you. I used to keep piranhas.
Yeah, but hold on. A piranha in a tank is not the same as a piranha in the Amazon.
I've seen the piranhas in the I'm
Yeah.
not defending
I'm not defending the
I'm not
piranhas.
saying they're safe or anything, but the way a shark does it, like sharks take enormous chunks out of your body. Piranhas like go through you eventually.
Yeah, but
They're pretty impressive. The way they swarm.
That's the thing. The swarming.
Sharks are doing that too, man.
They don't swarm in the same way.
That's what it looked like over there.
Yeah, but that's because they were. I don't think it's the same
If
thing.
you threw like a dead dolphin on top of that,
Oh,
you
I'm
didn't,
not arguing
don't
that.
think they would tear apart
Yes,
that
they
the
would
same
tear it
way
apart. They would tear
these
it.
fish are tearing apart this dead fish? It would be the same thing.
This is the strangest argument I've ever been in, and I don't disagree with you. I agree with you completely that if you threw in a dead dolphin there or in the Amazon, that they'd be dismembered in seconds.
I don't think we're at a disagreement. I think we got caught up in a little bit of a dick waving contest there.
Okay, I want to hear what you're most excited about with the club.
I'm just excited to have it and to make a place in Austin where comics can work out all the time. I just want it where people can develop. We're going to have a nice open mic program. We brought in Adam Egett, who was the talent coordinator for the Comedy Store, and we brought it in with we brought him in. We brought this great staff in with a specific idea to make it a place where comics can start out, develop, become a professional. There's a clear path. Instead of comedy has always been like very difficult for people to go from being an open micer to being a professional to making it. If you go to an open mic nights are littered with people who are talented that for whatever reason they didn't get enough breaks where it encouraged them to keep going, and they had other opportunities in life, which most smart people do, and they did something else, and then maybe they came back to it later, and then they realized how far behind they were for the other people that were already, now they're working professionals now, and they start thinking, fuck, I could be out there like Big J. Okerson. I could be out there like Ari Shaffir. And they never really make it. And there's a lot of funny people that never really make it. It's real weird. And I think every other art form has like a very clear path. Like if you are a concert pianist, you can learn how to play piano. You can take lessons. You can get better at it. You can learn how to play guitar. Someone will teach you how to make the chords and make the notes and all the stuff. I don't know how to play guitar. I'm just talking.
Yeah, I
But
got you.
the thing about comedy is you have to figure it out on your own. And everybody figures it out differently because there's so many different fucking styles. There's Jay London style. There's Louis C.K. style. There's so many styles. There's Chris Rock style. Everybody has a different way of being funny. And you need a place where you know that they are hoping that you get better. And they want you to get better. Not just like a dog-eat-dog world like the store used to be, or like a lot of these other places are, but a place that encourages people to be better and to get better at comedy and gives you a place where you can try it out and you can get to see, like, one of the things about the store that was so great is, Chris Rock would come into town and he would go and do a set and we'd all sit in the back and watch. Like, you get a chance to watch the best comics in the world all the time. And I think we could do that here. And I think it's a service to comedy. I think it'd be great for all of us. Selfishly, it'd be great for me. And so that's why I decided to do it.
I think Austin is a lot better of a place to have this kind of camaraderie and less cynicism than New York and LA. I think those cities, especially LA, from my understanding, are far more competitive in a negative sense, where you think if someone's succeeding, it's because it's at your expense. Whereas everything I've seen here, everyone who's making it happen are so into helping each other out and having each other's back and being like fans of one another.
That was an environment that we fostered at the Comedy Store. And I think that environment, a lot of it came out of the recognition that in the world of podcasting, we're no longer competitors to each other.
Right.
We're actually assets to each other. And being friends with people like you, or being friends with Lex, or being friends with any comics, like, you want other people to know about them. Like, you want everybody benefits from, like, the people generally know that if I have someone on, especially like you, who's been on more than once, like, I like them and they're fun and we have cool conversations. So they go and gravitate towards you. It helps them trust me and my taste for guests, and it helps you, and it elevates everybody. It used to not be that way. It used to be everybody was competing to be Seinfeld. You know, there's only one Seinfeld. He's the star of the show. There's only one time slot. It's like, you know, fucking Thursday night at 8 p.m. That's when it is. You got to be on. No one gets that spot other than Seinfeld. You got to wait until he retires. And so then there's the Friends spot, and there's the Caroline in the City spot. There was a very small number of things, and if you got that, it was life-changing. And people around people got those things, and their life changed, and they're driving a Mercedes, and you're the same fucking guy in a Hyundai, and you do better than him. Like, you go up at Wednesday night at 10 p.m., and maybe he struggles following you, but it doesn't matter because he got a fucking sitcom.
Right.
And the sitcom was like the holy grail. That was the thing that everybody wanted. And so everybody got like hyper competitive and looked at each other as being like an impediment. Like, there was you're gonna be in competition with me for my dream.
Right. I don't have it because you took it from me.
Yeah. Well, that's how people thought. Like, I could have been that guy.
Yeah.
There was a lot of those guys that were like hanging around the Comedy Store when I first got there in '94 that missed the Kinnison wave. There's waves that come, or like great comics come through, and along with them, a lot of other great comics come. And there's like the Kinnison, Bill Hicks, and there was so many guys that came along during that time, and Dice Clay, and some guys just missed that wave. They just didn't put it together for whatever reason. And there was a lot of those guys that were hanging around the store when I got there. I was like, oh, this is not good. You know, it's like comics rely on community. It's a very important part of what we do. Like, you have fun with each other. Like, you support each other. You laugh with each other. It's fun. Like, Stanhope once famously said, he goes, I could give up comedy, but I couldn't give up comedians.
Yeah, when I'm hanging out with you guys backstage at Vulcan, everyone is so friendly, and they're busting each other's balls, of course, but it's really welcoming, which
fun.
is not like it's how New York was at some times in some places, but there's a lot of in New York this kind of like, who's this guy? What can he do for me? You know, what's his follower count? What's this?
Yeah.
What's that? And I don't feel that here at all.
We had managed to avoid a lot of that in LA at the store at one point in time. It wasn't all of us, though, because the store is all kinds of different personalities. And some personalities don't feel like they're getting their just due, and some personalities are bitter, and some personalities are angry that someone is successful or famous, that people like them.
Yeah.
And it's just wasted energy. But there's always going to be those people when you have those hyper-competitive environments that aren't supportive. You know, it's a thing that you learn coming up. You know, if you learn that, you see how, like, have you ever seen a guy who steals and he brings opening acts and the opening act starts stealing? That used to be a real thing.
What? Really?
Yeah, guys who steal, they would have opening acts, and those opening acts would be stealing too because they learned from the guy who was the big guy.
Oh, God.
Yeah, so there was a few of those guys that would go on the road and steal, and a lot of their opening acts would wind up be joke buccaneers too, and it'd be a real problem. And we realized, we'd say, oh, he worked with him. And be like, oh, okay.
And then he thinks it's okay because it's like you follow your mentors.
This is just what they do.
Right.
This is what people do. You know,
no one makes up jokes. I heard it somewhere.
Yeah,
Right,
everyone thinks the same things. There's only 7 jokes.
Well, it's also the kind of thing where the guy tells like Simpsons quotes at a party, so he's funny. So he's like, why can't I just do this on stage? So he's not going to think anything's weird that I'm doing Simpsons jokes on stage or like whatever jokes.
Yeah, exactly. It's a weird thing, man. It's like creativity depends upon so many different factors, and we're definitely influenced by each other. But I think it's in a positive way. I think when it crosses over into negativity, that's when it becomes a problem. When people get competitive in terms of like they're taking people's premises or taking people's ideas and twisting them around, like, hey, like you're doing something squirrely. And there's like different levels of that. Like some people do it and it's just out and out thievery. And some people do it and it's just like they both have the same thought. Parallel thinking is a real common situation, especially with like normal social issues.
And a lot of times the punchline is going to be something that two people came up with at the same time because kind of obvious, you know.
Absolutely. Happens all the time. But there's a difference between that
And the whole set, yep.
thievery.
Yeah.
Because you see guys working out. You see them trying new stuff. You see the bits develop. Like I work with Hinchcliffe all the time, and he's always got new shit. And he's always got this new idea, and he's always reworking it. And like we're talking about it and game planning it and try it like this and what about that. And he comes up with new taglines. We're all hanging around backstage. And then he tries them the next day, they kill. Some of the best jokes that Hinchcliffe has ever come up with, he came up making me laugh while we were on drives.
Yeah.
Like in between shows. So that hang is so important.
Do you think, because I'm getting this sense, but I'm obviously not a professional comedian, that a lot of this kind of so-called woke culture, whatever, that's been supposedly killing comedy, I feel like that's receding, and that there is a lot of space, especially here, to tell jokes wherever the hell you want without fear of repercussion.
Yeah, and you know what? One of the big supporting factors of that idea is Kill Tony.
Yeah.
Because Kill Tony, you get 1 minute, and the comedians are ruthless and hilarious, and they're all like Roseanne's on there, and all these killers that come into town. Shane Gillis, all these people go and guest on that show, and comics get 1 minute, and if they do well, everybody supports them and cheers them on, says you're really funny, good luck. I'd pay to see you, and they walk out of there fucking lifted. Like a few good words of advice and praise from an upcoming, from a legitimate stand-up to an upcoming stand-up are so fucking huge. And I think we could provide that here.
Yeah, and I've seen it firsthand already.
Yeah.
I've been to Kill Tony. It's a lot of fun.
It's a lot of fun, and I think it's really important for like setting the tone. Like it's just about funny. This is not about like you espousing your social values, and there's a kind of a clapter thing that some of these kids are getting sucked into, where you're trying to like espouse social values. I've seen people actually say that if you're not using your comedy to elevate social justice, then fuck you. Like, no, you're just not good. Like
right.
You're just not good.
Yeah.
You're not good at this thing that we all do and love. Like when we watch people that are great comics that have a social message, whether it's Dave Chappelle or whether it's George Carlin or whoever it is, they have that with jokes. Like
right.
The most important part is that it has to be funny. You get a certain amount of juice from going for the social justice angle where people are like, yes, and they clap. And you can get addicted to that. But that's not what you're there for. You're there to make them laugh. Like you can't just say something and hope they clap with you. You should figure out a way to make that funny. That's what we do. And you don't have to. By the way, if you want to do clapter and fill audiences with, people that are fucking inside your wheelhouse and they like to hear you say the things that they think, fine. That's great.
It's shocking to me how much late night comedy has fallen. And because there's a lot more than when we were young. It used to be like Johnny Carson and Letterman after him, right? There's like 10 of them now. The fact that Hennessy rates isn't a household term, that when Hunter Biden was texting his lawyer, like, don't charge me no Hennessy rates, that's such a funny expression.
I don't know I didn't know that.
That was in the
Hennessy. What does that mean by Hennessy rates?
Expensive. Don't charge me no Hennessy rates.
Oh, Hennessy's expensive liquor.
Yeah.
That's
so
funny.
like that is such a joke waiting to happen. The fact that this isn't like being beaten. You have a dementia patient with a crackhead son. Like the punchlines, I'm not a comedian. The punchlines write themselves, but they're so invested in this bizarre partisanship that you can think Biden's a joke and still think Trump's an asshole.
100%. And for you to deny it is not doing your cause any justice.
No.
You need to look at what you're seeing and talk about it accurately. And just because you think that somehow or another, like talking badly about Biden is going to make Trump become president, shut up.
Right.
Shut the fuck up. That's not your job. Your job is to point out what's funny. What's funny is this guy keeps falling upstairs. He's clearly deteriorating before our eyes, and everybody wants to pretend it's not happening. It's just madness.
You know that your brain's fucked up when you fall up the stairs.
Dude, it's not. Well, first of all, why they got him in those slippery shoes? Put some fucking rubber-soled shoes on that man. Don't give him those goddamn dress shoes with the slippery surfaces. Is that what he's wearing? Those are fucking slidey.
Is that what
I
it
could
is?
fall upstairs with like a pair of cowboy boots on or something. If you don't rough them up on the bottom, those shits are fucking slippery. Have you ever put on like dress shoes with the hard leather soles? Oh my God, if you do and you try to walk on carpet.
It's like ice skating?
It's totally like ice skating. You could slide. You could slide on those things. Like a real leather soled dress shoe, you got to scuff the shit out of those bitches. Yeah, I got a pair from David August. They're really nice and they're dress shoes, but I don't fucking wear them. Like I have to go outside and sandpaper the fuck out of them before I can walk around on them.
The pair of dress shoes I have are made out of seal leather, which I didn't know was a thing. They're vintage, so I wear them every chance I get, and they are very scuffed on the bottom for sure because they're from the 70s, but they look absolutely amazing.
I have a pair of alligator shoes.
Oh, okay.
Pair of
Like
gators.
boots?
They're like dress shoes.
Yeah.
Gators.
Those are cool.
That's sweet.
That's for pimps.
Yeah. Sweet.
There's what, ostrich, anteater. Those are the other ones. Stingray.
Derek Wolf, the football player, was here the other day, and he had his friend Alex was here, and his friend Alex has these boots on that were made out of fish.
What kind
It
of
was
fish?
skin. Some fucking giant fish from the Amazon.
Arapaima?
I think it's arapaima.
Yeah.
I think it's that. See what boots they make out of fish skin.
I think it could be
But I
they
was
call
like-
it barramundi is another name for it.
Oh yeah, that's
that
it.
sounds.
I think.
I think so.
I think that's it because he was wearing these. I go, what the fuck are those? I go, those are dope. They were like this crazy pattern on the front of his boot. I go, what is that? He's like, it's actually fish skin.
Yeah, I think it's
Yeah.
barramundi. I could be talking out of my ass on this one, but I don't know.
They go hard with cowboy boots around here.
Yeah, I haven't got. Oh, yeah.
What is it? Oh, Pikaru.
Piraru.
boots.
Oh, those are the ones with the huge
Is that the
fangs.
same? Is that what it looked like? Because it might not be that.
If you look
That's
up,
definitely it, man.
if you look up what that fish looks like, if I'm thinking of the right thing, I think they're the ones with the giant fangs. Look that up.
I will.
They look crazy.
How do you say it?
Piraruku.
Piraruku. Wow.
If I'm thinking of the right fish.
What does that look like?
Oh, it's bringing up boots, so that might be it.
Interesting. Fish. Whoa,
Oh, it is. Okay,
yeah,
it's
it's
arapaima.
arapaima.
Okay.
Yeah, look at the size of that fucker. So the skin on them is so tough they turn them into fucking cowboy boots. Isn't that wild?
Then the one I'm thinking of is the Piara, I think, which have these fangs that go into their forehead.
Look at that dinosaur.
They're the largest freshwater fish. I know the paddlefish are, but they're up there.
Sturgeons are pretty goddamn large
Yeah.
too, though.
And-
Aren't they the largest?
I think it goes
Paddlefish first.
Sturgeon, they say arapaima might be the heaviest. Arapaima is something. Paddlefish is something.
You know what's the wildest shit?
The what? The what?
The wildest shit we have.
What?
Alligator gars. Do you know
Oh
about
yeah, yeah.
alligator
There's also
gars?
they come in different colors.
Yeah,
Have you seen
well,
the platinum ones?
I've seen black ones. They have some
Yeah, they're
black
gorgeous.
ones.
Melanistic.
dope looking. But they are fucking huge.
You look at the platinum ones; they're beautiful.
Oh my god, look at that thing. That's a goddamn dinosaur.
Yeah, they're
Goddamn
they're
dinosaur.
living fossils.
Yeah, 100%. And their skin, like when they cut their skin, you have to cut it with metal shears.
Do you really?
Yeah. Yeah, their skin is like fucking armor. Like to cut through their scales, you can't just use a knife. You have to like clamp, 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 like you're fucking breaking into a chain link fence. Like no bullshit. See if you can find alligator gar that they caught. Yeah, look at that one that
wow.
dude has that he's holding up. Bro, that's bonkers. Look at the size of that thing. Look at that one down there.
Yeah. The 300
Oh
pound
my
one.
God. 300 pounds. Just imagine that.
And they obviously live for a very long time.
Very long time. And that's the skin. I guess they take that skin and they turn it into leather. Wow.
You know, most and they also use hagfish leather.
They have
for
a lot of
wallets.
those out here. A lot of alligator gars are in Texas. My friends from Canada came down to some place in Texas specifically to hunt alligator gars.
Really?
Yeah, they catch them.
It must be pretty easy because they're surface.
I don't know. I don't know if it's easy. I've never done it, but I do know that they taste delicious when they smoke them. They smoke alligator gar.
Well, smoked any kind of fish is amazing.
Yeah, but that stuff's
They
supposed to be really good.
HEB has smoked tuna now, and it's really good in a can. 302.
302
wow.
pounds, the largest alligator gar ever caught in Texas. See if you can find the photo of that.
It was
Man,
1953.
look at that one right there. Jesus Christ. Look at the head on that thing. Can you click on that? See what that video shows? Oh, this guy's got one.
Landing that thing must be a nightmare.
Oh my God, must take hours.
Holy
Look
crap.
at that thing. Holy shit, man.
He's gonna go through the rope. Crap, he's gonna go through the rope.
Look at the size of that fucker.
Crap,
It looks like an alligator.
that is a huge fish.
Yeah, just with no
Okay,
legs.
hang on.
Holy crap. Yeah, right. Yeah.
He says that's 300 pounds.
And those teeth are like needles.
Is that somewhere outside of Texas? Or is that, where did he catch that? They might be bigger somewhere else. Because that's the biggest one they ever caught in Texas. That thing's fucking huge.
Have you ever had Jeremy Wade on the show?
Is that the guy from River Monsters? No, I have not. I love that guy, though.
There
I love
was
that
this-
show. Oh, he's letting it go now. Isn't that fucked up, like the catch and release thing? They're just fucking with that fish's life.
That's better than killing it.
Well, then why do it?
Because
So if you catch someone and kick their ass, it's better than killing them. So just go around catching people and kicking their ass.
wait. It is better to kick their ass and then kill them.
It is, definitely.
Yeah.
But should you do it? Should you go around catching people and kicking their ass?
Well,
Because
yeah,
it's better than killing them.
If they got a big mouth, someone's got to take care.
Well, I don't think that fish had a big mouth. I guess
it had
it
a
did.
huge mouth.
It bit down on the bait.
Yeah.
Yeah, good point.
Wait, you think that's a bad idea, catch and release?
It's not a bad idea, but it troubles me in the sense that I like to catch fish and eat them, and I think that's why I go fishing. When I go fishing,
Sure.
I go fishing to eat something. I don't go fishing to fuck with a fish.
But some of them are inedible. And I think when something's that big, you
Yeah.
want to have it the respect, let it reproduce.
Yeah, sure. I don't know what the population is. Maybe they do it because, like with largemouth bass, a lot of people don't eat largemouth bass, although you can eat them, and I've eaten them. They taste good, but they use them as a sport fish.
Okay.
And so especially when you catch big ones, they want you to let them go because like a big female has probably got a bunch of eggs
Yeah.
in her, and it'll help the population. It takes a long time to get that big.
And they're probably good in keeping invasive species from spawning, like taking over, because they're predatory. So they're going to be kind of basically like mowing the lawn, so to speak.
Yeah, a little bit. But there's a lot of invasive species in lakes out here. The big one's carp. And,
Those are the ones that jump in the boat, the silver carp.
Those I think those are Asian carp.
Yeah.
Is that what it's called? The ones that
Asian silver carp or something
something
like that.
happens to them when the boat's coming near them. They freak out.
Yeah, they
just go
jump into the
flying
boat
through
and
the
they
air.
start hitting people in the head.
Oh, they KO people.
Yeah.
People get fucking flatlined. Bank.
Yeah. It's like those fainting goats. They just freak the fuck out and just flop over.
Yeah.
What's the biggest fish you ever caught? Was it a gar?
Biggest fish I ever caught? What's this guy going? Oh yeah.
Oh, the carp.
Yeah, this is
Oh, this could be
this guy's
funny.
on the boat and these fish just
Oh, yeah.
Oh Jesus. So I don't know if you can eat those. But
Carp
that's
are
kind of
edible.
crazy.
I
But
bet
don't know
you
if that
could.
carp is edible. I'm sure it's edible. It's
Yeah.
probably like really bony. And so what they do with a lot of those is they make fish cakes out of them.
But give out the fish's
Yeah.
carp. Yeah.
I caught a marlin once. It was
Oh,
like
holy crap.
70 pounds.
How was that hard to land? Because they're strong as hell.
It was strong as hell. Yeah.
How do you land that thing?
It takes a while. It took like 20 minutes or so.
Okay, that's-
and then, but it was not that big. It's a 70-pound marlin. Like when they go on those marlin tournaments, like guys will catch 1,000-pound marlin.
Is
You ever
that
seen one of those?
no? I've seen the plastic ones on the wall
See if you can find the largest marlin ever caught. I think it's more than 1,000
because
pounds.
aren't they like the fastest fish, so they're gonna have power.
Oh yeah, they have such power and they're so majestic. There's something about them with their sails and everything.
1,300
1,376 pounds was 193 inches long.
40
Oh my
minutes
God.
is not that much time.
Well,
for
I
something-
mean, how long can it fight for? That's the thing. It's like, look at the size of it. Oh my God. Wow. Look at the size of that thing.
Did you keep the bill?
No, I didn't. It was one of those weird deals where there's certain boats that you get on and they have their own rules, and they said you can catch fish, but we keep the big fish. I'm like, okay.
Okay.
It was like, first of all, it didn't bother me because I was staying in a resort. I'm like, what am I going to do with this marlin?
Right.
I can't eat this thing. Like, how am I going to? Yeah, it's better if you guys keep
That
it.
would be a funny like
And they
weekend,
wanted it. So.
weekend at Bernie's thing where you got
Yeah.
sunglasses on the marlin.
We were just looking for fish that we could eat, that we could bring back to, a small fish like a yellowtail or something like that. That you could bring back to the resort and you'd get the chef to cook it. But we just got lucky. And
Do you ever
we
watch-
got caught within like 10 minutes of the fishing trip.
Did you ever watch that guy Masaru on YouTube?
Who's that?
The Japanese kid, he catches fish and he cooks like literally everything. Sea cucumbers, starfish.
Oh, really?
Half the time he's throwing up.
Oh, no.
It's all in Japanese. You got to watch subtitles. He's the best.
Oh, so he tries everything?
He tries everything, and the headlines are clickbait, like eating sea cucumber leads to disaster. Yeah, he's the best.
Eating a diarrhea-causing fish, extremely high in fat. Oh, let's watch that.
He's hilarious. Well, no, that's fake. It's clickbait. So
Oh.
have you ever had escalar
Whoa.
or white tuna at the sushi place?
Yes.
That's what that is. So it causes like anal leakage, but he's fine with it.
He's fine with anal leakage?
No, but I mean, this episode he's not going to have diarrhea.
Oh, got it.
But
That
that's
looks good.
He's great.
It looks like he's having a good time.
Look up what he does, like the starfish, like,
Yeah.
and he's eating like he's eating when they have the parasites, he just cooks the parasites and eats it. He doesn't throw it out. He's like, all right, I'm just gonna fry these worms.
I
It's like,
saw some YouTube. I didn't know if it was clickbait or not, but I saw some YouTube video today that I didn't click on that said, "Be careful eating sushi," and it showed a guy's mouth that was open, and there was like, or some part of his it wasn't his mouth. It was like something like they put a camera down his mouth and they found some organs in his intestines.
Okay.
Or not organs, rather. Some parasites in
Okay.
his intestines, like some tapeworms and shit like that. It was horrible looking.
Yeah, but I
know,
don't
like-
think that's really I think it's not a concern if you get the restaurant because they flash freeze it, don't they?
I don't know, because I think freshwater salmon is where a lot of parasites come from. I think it's not a thing that much with saltwater fish. I think it's less prevalent. But I think you could buy fresh salmon that hasn't been frozen.
Okay.
And you could eat it like sushi or sashimi, and you could get fucked.
Okay.
I think that's pretty sure. Like, what do they do to keep people from getting parasites?
My
in sushi?
understanding is they catch on the boat and they flash freeze it instantly.
Yeah. My friend who's a doctor told me don't ever eat freshwater fish raw.
The only freshwater fish that we eat at sushi is like eel, but that's cooked. It's freshwater eel,
Well,
unagi.
salmon.
Wait,
Salmon's
salmon,
it's brackish.
salmon's euryhaline.
Yeah, but a lot of it is, I mean, you can most certainly get freshwater salmon. Like salmon exists in freshwater areas too, but it's a brackish.
Or like
it's
a trout.
traveling
Trout
fish.
is going to be freshwater.
Trout, right?
Yes.
Trout, yeah. Like you don't eat like sunfish sashimi.
Right.
Like,
River trout is definitely a
get
thing you
fucked.
get at the sushi place.
Yeah, you can get parasites can fuck you up, man. I know some people that have eaten bad food and gotten parasites, and it's rough.
Like what kind of parasites?
Oh, like ringworm.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. Ringworm you get like in the surface of your skin, but roundworm, tapeworm. I know people that got
Well,
tapeworm.
the worst
from
is those
food.
bot flies.
Yeah, I have some friends that got trichinosis.
What's that?
Trichinosis.
Oh, God, with the
is
holes?
horrible. Yeah. They got trichinosis from eating bear meat. They it was for the show Meat Eater. My friend Steve Ranella and his whole crew. They ate this bear meat and it wasn't cooked well enough.
Okay.
And they all got trichinosis.
What, is that through some kind of pathogen?
It's a parasite. There's
Okay.
parasites in the meat and they bore their way into your muscle tissue.
Here's what I found, so you don't
Yeah.
have to worry.
Okay.
All raw fish can have parasites, but not all raw fish does, especially when you're eating a well-established sushi restaurant. Why? The fish you're eating was flash frozen solid at a temperature of minus 35 degrees Fahrenheit and stored that way in a commercial freezer for at least 15 hours to kill whatever parasites happen to be in it. That's right. Your sushi is probably not fish that was caught this morning. And in fact, most states like Oregon require it to be frozen first, but that's a good thing. Beyond banishing parasites. So I've eaten sushi that was not. And I had some friends that went tuna fishing, and they said that the chef, they had like this tuna fishing expedition thing. They catch tuna, they would catch the tuna, and then the chef on board would cook for them and make sashimi right there. Like those people are eating it fresh.
Yeah.
They could get parasites.
Yes, of course.
But freshwater, I think, is the
They
worst.
do this other thing. I was wondering what it was called, and it says it here. The candling they do. They have a high-powered flashlight to check. Which I mean, that's
Through
not-
the fillets to look for any abnormalities,
perfect,
including
but-
bones. They either remove them or discard the fish. You're playing the home game. You can do this easily enough yourself using a very bright flashlight. Furthermore, that seafood processor probably get a lot of their product from fish farms, which is less likely to be riddled with worms. So I have read things about people getting parasites from salmon.
Well, but when I was looking it up, I found a lot of people like tapeworm from sushi. There's you can get a nematode, which is like a larva, a worm larva.
And so is that people that don't follow this flash frozen rule?
That's let me see if it says that.
Because trichinosis, one of the things about trichinosis is it survives freezing.
Oh, Jesus. Okay.
It depends on the trichinosis, apparently, because some trichinosis from the southern states doesn't survive freezing, but some of the stuff from like Alberta and in Alaska, it survives freezing. It's like there's different strains of trichinosis, but you have to cook it to like 160 degrees to kill it.
What happens when you get it? How do you cure it?
Well, you're fucked. You have it for the
Ivermectin?
rest of your life. Ivermectin, yeah. It might be, actually. It's an
Yeah, you're right. That's
anti-parasitic.
true.
Yeah, it actually might be. I don't know what they take, but he took a lot of shit, and he was really rough. It was really rough for him, like achy body, like because it's like literally digging into your fucking muscle tissue.
I'm sure you could feel it too.
So if someone ate him, they would get trichinosis.
Okay. Okay.
Isn't that wild? Like that's where you're getting it. You're getting it from an
Jesus Christ.
animal that ate an animal that had trichinosis.
It's also this article. I clicked the link. one person got sick off of it, and then a lot of articles started coming
Yeah,
out.
media goes apeshit after one guy gets sick off sushi. Sushi usually contains raw food. It's not cooked.
Yeah,
Raw
people
things
do
are
get
full of
sick, but
bacteria.
One guy got it in Portugal, and then there was a bunch of
Do you know what's
articles about
interesting?
it.
Do you remember, like, in the 80s, people who ate sushi were regarded as, like, lunatics?
Oh,
and, like,
yeah.
in movies, if someone had California rolls, all the other characters were like, oh, what are you eating
What, you
over
eat
there?
sushi?
And now it's just, like, at the mall. And no one even, like, blinks.
It's totally normal. It's at the supermarket. You get supermarket sushi.
H-E-B has great sushi.
Do they really?
They do. H-E-B has great everything. I love H-E-B. I'm so delighted by it.
That's a risk-taking person to eat supermarket sushi.
I don't think it is, though.
It's a different kind of human.
I think, yeah, I should be on Fear Factor.
Gas station
Can you
sushi.
imagine a Fear Factor just eat H-E-B sushi? I don't know.
Bro, gas station sushi.
You're not allowed any wasabi. This is real Fear Factor shit.
What's the riskiest thing you eat? A gas station burrito
What's the risk? You know,
or a hot dog? Hot dogs. Hot dogs
station
on that
hot dog.
spinner. Gas station hot dog. The hot dogs on those
That's
fucking
got it at the 7-Eleven.
rotating things.
is that the
At a
riskiest?
gas station.
That's got to be the riskiest.
That's pretty risky.
Especially if there's cheese inside or something.
For
else.
sure, you're eating some dicks and assholes. For sure.
And you're also probably going to get diarrhea because of the fat content.
Maybe you are.
Possibly.
I fucking cruise right through that hot dog. Bro.
What would be the weird, riskiest thing? Anything I cook, am I right?
Ba-dum-bum. Whatever comes out of my wife's kitchen. Ba-dum-bum. But anyway,
That's what's going to be tonight at the
Take my wife,
at
please.
the Comedy Mothership.
yeah. That's it. We're bringing back old timey jokes.
Yeah,
Duncan's gonna bring his puppet.
I did an event for my friend Tom Woods. His 200th episode, and because Neil Hamburger made this joke like 15 years ago on Red Eye, I got a dummy made out of him, and I did this ventriloquist act, and it gave me an excuse to wear a mask because then I don't have to be good with my lips, and it was the first time I bombed. Like I bombed, and the only thing that saved me from bombing was some drunk person rushed the stage and was yelling at me to take off the mask and that I'm giving into the regime and he had to get tackled. And everyone thought it was a bit. And I'm like, no, I was just bombing fine on my own and this guy saved me. So
That's hilarious.
yeah, it was a but the funny thing is I still have this puppet I had made of him, like this Muppet, and I just have in the house to scare people.
The pandemic was the greatest thing ever for ventriloquists.
Yeah.
It's the best. You don't have to try. Just put a plague mask on and fucking.
Have you ever tried to do ventriloquism?
No.
It's hard.
I bet.
I wish someone had sat me down and like, dude, practice. Don't just go up there and wing it.
There's
Yeah.
no fucking way you can do that. There's no fucking way you
It's
can do that.
no, but it's not just that. It's that you have to coordinate this with this hand,
That
and then you've
seems
got
the
this
easy
hand.
part.
No, it's not. It's
The
like doing-
peas.
no,
the
it's
peas
not.
are the problem.
It's like trying to circle your head and pat your stomach at the same time.
Oh.
If you're focusing on your mouth, you can't concentrate on your hand.
Oh, so it's like playing guitar and singing.
Yes.
You could figure it out.
Well, I didn't, and I pay the consequences for it. So I could. Maybe if I didn't just fucking wing it, it was bad news. And I was the closing act. And everyone's like, "Oh my God, Michael Mouse is gonna kill it!" And everyone's just sitting there on their hands.
You don't see a lot of ventriloquist acts anymore.
There's what's that guy's name with that guy who's like the
Jeff Dunham.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's huge. But it's like I think he's one of those guys that's like Carrot Top, where when someone gets so big with that genre, they kind of own the genre now.
Right. What are you trying to be, Carrot Top?
Yeah,
Like,
when
if
I was
someone
a
has
kid,
a prop, yeah.
When I was starting out, there was a lot of prop acts. There was like there would be like one every couple of shows.
Is that right?
Yeah. There's quite a few. Guys started out as prop acts and eventually dropped the props. Like Mitzi Shore was always like, drop the props. Should make you drop the props. Should make put away the guitar. Should make you put away the guitar and fucking eat shit.
I remember when I was young and Stern had the E-show, right? And he had Carrot Top on. And everyone's like, oh my God, he's going to have Carrot Top on. He's got a Carrot Top on. And it was just really, really great because Carrot Top comes in, everyone thinks he's going to nuke him. And he's like, I'm supposed to hate you? He's like, wait, what's your crime? You make families laugh with toys and like everyone leaves and has a great experience. Like, why are you a bad guy? It was really kind of funny.
He was the whipping boy for
Yeah, of
comedians
course.
forever. He's a really nice guy. Scott is a fucking really good guy.
Yeah, I saw you had him on.
He's a fucking sweetheart.
and it's like
I love him.
But what's the crime that he makes people
Nothing,
laugh?
no crime.
Right.
I never got it. I never participated in it. I didn't get it. I don't understand the hate. I don't care if someone does something different than what I do. Like why? I don't understand why that would be bad.
Right.
He's funny.
Are you bringing joy? Oh, I should have made this a
He's
ventriloquist
fucking
thing.
funny. That would've
Hey,
been good.
Joe.
Have like a South Park head with a.
Hey, Joe, what's going on? I'm building robots.
Look how stoic he looks. So stoic.
She really nailed it.
Oh my God, she nailed it.
I'm gonna frame that face and put it in my house.
He's gonna be so excited when he sees it.
Yeah, he is. I hadn't seen it either.
Guarantee you.
Hey Lex, what's как дела? Хорошо, что ты делаешь?
He's got a great fucking show.
Yeah, he does. So
Yeah.
we always, when I do his show, we always dress up. And
I see.
Last time I was
Yeah.
on, I was dressed as Kraftwerk because the robots. And everyone's like, "Why is he wearing lipstick?" I'm doing Kraftwerk. Relax. And he was dressed like Santa.
That's hilarious. Duncan Trussell and I do that. We dress up, and one of the times, might not have been the last one, but one of the times we dressed up, we had candles all over the table. So the only light in the room was candles, and we were both dressed like clowns. And it was featured on Fox News because we went on some crazy rant that they agreed with. They said Joe Rogan had a really good point. You fucking dress like a clown, like I'm a literal clown. Like and you're coming to me for good points.
I was on Tim Pool. And I had a propeller beanie. And shout out to Jose Garcia. He put a motor in, so this propeller was spinning. And I'm just talking about Woodrow Wilson and the American Economic Association on things happening in the early progressive era. And all these people online like, I can't take someone seriously who's got a propeller beanie on. I'm like, well, that's the point.
That is the point.
I'll tell you, Tim's coming back April 14th at Vulcan. It's going to be me, Alex, Blair, Alex Stein, and him on stage. I'm sure Ian's going to be there. And I've got the most amazing outfit. I'll tell you off the air. And the trick is to have no one acknowledge that you're in an outfit.
I can't wait to see it.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
That sounds like fun. I love silly shows like that where two guys wear an outfit. And if you do it, whatever criticism anybody lobbies your way, like, come on.
I'm dressed like a clown.
I'm mocking myself.
Joe, it's sometimes it's hard for me to realize how normies think. I remember I had a job interview. This must have been 20 years ago. And the guy who was interviewing me was like 27. So he's a young, cool dude, whatever. And I was telling him I was just listening to Insane Clown Posse, and they're singing about how they took their manager and threw him out of a window, and that they stabbed the mail paper man, and now they drive around in his truck. And it was hilarious. And the guy's like, "Wow, some people are really crazy." I'm like, "They're clowns. They call themselves clowns. This is absurdity, and it's ridiculous. They're not throwing people out of fucking windows."
Yeah.
But for him, it was just like, "This is weird and stupid." I'm like, "Oh, okay."
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, look, I'm dressed like a clown. Yeah, I put the clown suit on.
On purpose.
What can you tell?
I'm not wearing a suit and tie begging to be taken seriously.
I didn't wake up and I'm like, holy shit, I'm in clown gear and I can't take it off.
Yeah, you can't beg to be taken seriously.
Right.
Especially the kind of stuff that you talk about. Like you say some very controversial shit, and it's funnier if it's coming out of a guy with a propeller hat on.
Or in fucking lipstick.
What was the inspiration to write this book? This Book of Hope by Michael Malice.
The inspiration was, it's the story of the rise of the Soviet Union, what actually happened there. And part of the inspiration was, it bothers me how people, when they complain about how oppressive governments can be, we have no idea how bad it could be here. And having come from there, obviously Lex is from there as well, to realize this is the bullet that my family dodged. So I go through this way they starved millions of people in Ukraine. They forced people to go on trial to admit to things that not only did they not do, but were literally impossible. The way they turned parents against their children and children against their parents. And, of course, the concentration camps, the gulags. But the scary thing was, every step of the way, whatever atrocity happened, there were people in the West who are still in powerful agencies, New York Times, the New Republic, The Nation, who were tripping over themselves to not only excuse and defend these things, but to say, hey, we need to be more like Stalin here. So 75% of this book is as dark as it gets. A lot of times people tell me, oh, you're naive, you think people are basically good. No. But the point being, they lost. And they lost so hard that the country no longer exists. And we don't even talk about it. This was what was bothering me, that millions of lives were lost. People were tortured in ways that I completely unspeakable. And now everyone just pretends it never happened. And I'm like, I'm going to do something about giving testimony to these countrymen of mine, but also pointing out we won. And we won relatively easily and relatively recently.
When you think about all the atrocities of history, why do you think that one, which is fairly recent, is not discussed as much?
There's a couple of reasons. One is there's no easy narrative, right? So it's very clear in World War II that Hitler's a bad guy. We can't say Stalin's really a bad guy because why are we teaming up with him? People like the WWE version of history, right? Good versus bad. If he's on our team and we're the good guys, he can't really be that bad. So that's part of it. Second is there would have to be a lot of accountability. When the New York Times is saying explicitly there is no starvation in Ukraine, and nor is there likely to be, in page A1 headlines, what are they going to talk about it now? So
What year was this?
Early 30s, the Holodomor.
So were they getting bad information, or were they ideologically captured because they were Marxists? Like what?
So their guy who they had there was someone named Walter Duranty, and he was a really interesting figure because he actually stole Aleister Crowley's girlfriend. Aleister Crowley was like the first big Satanist, and there were perverse incentives working behind the Iron Curtain. This wasn't the Iron Curtain then, that came later. But the idea was, if I'm in Moscow and I'm writing for a Western outlet, I have to get it through the censors. I can't just email somebody. I got to get you to approve it. So it's your job as the guy working for the government to make sure that what I'm putting out isn't too damaging to the Soviet Union. And you could play a game where you're like, let me talk to my supervisor. I have a deadline. You don't have any incentive to get back to me on time. I'm going to have to play ball. So that was one incentive, that even if you were the most honest reporter in these countries, you still had a lot of pressure to kind of toe the party line, or else they could just deport you overnight. I mean, where you're staying is at the government's largesse. So that was part of it. Second is I'm not in his head. I don't know why Walter Duranty was covering up for this genocide. But the fact of the matter is, there's someone named Gareth Jones, and there was a movie about him called Mr. Jones. And he's like, something's not adding up. So he went on a train through Ukraine, got out early, and just went through all the towns, and he saw for himself what was happening. These people are telling him, we're starving. They're ransacking our houses. They can tell by our face if we're not starving, because if your cheeks aren't hollow, you're hiding food. They come back in the middle of the night, ransack your house. If there's soup, throw on the floor, take off your clothes and throw you out into the cold. It's your fault. You're the kulak. Your fault why the rest of Russia's hungry. They made them great scapegoats. He reported what was happening, and then all the Western reporters ganged up on him, like, he's lying. This is just anti-communist propaganda. You don't get it. So again, for another example was Henry Wallace, who was FDR's second vice president. He visited a gulag in Siberia, and he comes back talking about how they're well treated. There's all these people moving to Siberia.
God.
It's like the Wild West. They're frontiersmen.
Oh my God.
And then Eleanor Lipper, who was on the far side of the fence, escaped years later. She was a foreign national, and she goes, I was there. We were imprisoned. We were beaten, raped, like starving, but they just put on a song and dance for you. Fell for it, hook, line, and sinker. So that story, I think, needs to be told, and that's one of the reasons I wrote the book. So people could see how much blood is on the hand of so many Western influencers to this day. And then you have these things where, like, for example, Joe Rogan gets arrested, right? There's nothing you can do to me. You can break my fingers. You could break my nose. I'm a tough dude, whatever. See what happens when your wife or kids get arrested. See you're gonna start confessing to. You're gonna confess to whatever the fuck they want.
Whatever the fuck they want. Yeah.
And that's the techniques that they used.
Speaking of which, did you see the new video of the fucking QAnon shaman being led through the Capitol building by police?
No. What happened there?
You know, there's the story of the violent insurrection.
Oh, yeah, of
That's
course.
the narrative,
It
right?
was, I mean,
By the way, let's just be real clear. You shouldn't break into the fucking Capitol building. You shouldn't be trying to overthrow the government. You shouldn't be trying to, like, get out there and say that the election was false when you don't exactly know. You're just buying into it, and then you all invade the Capitol. Wasn't good. Wasn't a good look for America. Wasn't good for any of the people there. Nothing was good about January 6th. Let's be real clear. But when you watch the video of that guy being led around through the Capitol building by police, they're basically giving him like a tour. They're talking to him and hanging out with him. At one point in time, it's him, and there's like 6 police officers around him, and they're not arresting him. They're not throwing him to the ground. There's no violence at all. Like, I don't think what that guy did was good. I don't think what any of those people did was good. It wasn't smart to fucking barge into the Capitol and take pictures of your feet on Nancy Pelosi's desk. It's fucking stupid. It's a crime. But they were leading him around. Like, the cops were talking to him and hanging out with him. They weren't like arresting him immediately. It wasn't like he was this violent guy who broke in and started smashing things and fucked the government.
They stayed between the velvet ropes.
Watch the video.
Yeah.
See, have you seen the video?
No, I have not seen the video.
See if you can find it, because Tucker Carlson highlighted it on his television show, and now everybody's up in arms because it's coming from Tucker. But it should be coming from the New York Times too. It should be coming from everybody. It's just, this is video footage of this guy And it's a thing that's different than what we're being told it is. We're being told that they barged in and fucking rah, and they overtook the Capitol, locked them up, put them in jail.
It seems edited, though. I'll be honest with.
Yes.
Both
It's definitely
both
edited.
teams edited it
Okay.
in various ways.
It's definitely edited. But when you see the video itself, you do see these cops walking around with this guy, and they're essentially, it's like they're giving him a tour. It doesn't seem like what we thought it was.
But the other
which
thing is,
I thought it was like they broke in and then they fucking scared the cops away, and there was so many of them that they overtook the Capitol.
I'm going to get a lot of heat for this, and I don't care. Where was President Trump for these people? These are his strongest supporters. He did not stick his neck out for them in the slightest. He let them rot in jail.
Is that the one?
I can't tell because I'm not listening to it.
So
This is some other-
so here it is.
But it turns out there's quite a bit of video you haven't seen. And that video tells a very different story about what happened on January 6th.
Oh, they're fixing it.
1,000 hours of surveillance footage from in and around the Capitol have been withheld from the public. And once you see the video, you'll understand why. Taken as a whole, the video record does not support the claim that January 6th was an insurrection. In fact, it demolishes that claim. And that's exactly why the Democratic Party and its allies in the media prevented you from seeing it. By controlling the images you were allowed to view from January 6th, they controlled how the public understood that day. They could lie about what happened, and you would never know the difference. Those lies had a purpose. They created a pretext for a federal crackdown on opponents of the Uniparty in Washington.
Our office wanted to ensure that there was shock and awe, that we could charge as many people as possible.
The first thing you notice from viewing the full video record of January 6th is just how many people entered the Capitol building that day.
Holy shit.
Hundreds and hundreds of people,
Wow.
possibly thousands, over the course of about 2 hours. The crowd was enormous. A small percentage of them were hooligans. They committed vandalism. You've seen their pictures again and again. But the overwhelming majority weren't. They were peaceful, they were orderly and meek. These were not insurrectionists, they were sightseers. Footage from inside the Capitol overturns the story you've heard about January 6th. Protesters queue up in neat little lines. They give each other tours outside the Speaker's office. They take cheerful selfies and they smile. They're not destroying the Capitol. They obviously revere the Capitol. They're there because they believe the election was stolen from them. They believe in the system. Here's the man you've heard referred to as the QAnon shaman outside the Senate chamber. These are not rioters. These are people who wandered over from a political rally.
We will not let them silence your voices.
After the rally, they walked down Pennsylvania Avenue, where organizers had secured a federal permit to hold a legal rally on the grounds of the Capitol.
I know that everyone here will soon be marching over to the Capitol building to peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard.
Once at the Capitol building, things began to get chaotic. Capitol police officers fired tear gas into the crowd. A few at the front of the herd broke windows. Someone opened the doors, and many hundreds of others just walked in.
We're gonna make that the story.
Of course, they did make it the story. And at the center of it, the
Was
single
that Alex?
most famous person arrested that day was a Navy veteran from Arizona called Jacob Chansley, often referred to as the QAnon shaman.
The so-called QAnon shaman. QAnon shaman.
Someone named Q Shaman.
Jacob Chansley became the face of January 6th, a dangerous conspiracy theorist dressed in outlandish costume who led the violent insurrection to overthrow American democracy. For these crimes, Chansley was sentenced to nearly 4 years in prison, far more time than many violent criminals now receive. What did Jacob Chansley do to receive this punishment? To this day, there is dispute over how Chansley got into the Capitol building. But according to our review of the internal surveillance video, it is very clear what happened once he got inside. Virtually every moment of his time inside the Capitol was caught on tape. The tapes show that Capitol Police never stopped Jacob Chansley. They helped him. They acted as his tour guides.
Wow.
Here's video of Chansley.
They're opening
in
the door
Senate
for him.
chamber. Capitol Police officers take him to multiple entrances and even try to open locked doors for him. We counted at least 9 officers who were within touching distance of unarmed Jacob Chansley. Not one of them even tried to slow him down. Chansley understood that Capitol Police were his allies. Video shows him giving thanks for them in a prayer on the floor of the Senate. Watch.
Thank you, Heavenly Father, for giving the inspiration needed to these police officers to allow us in this building.
Contrast
Holy
the
crap.
reality of what Jacob Chansley did in the Capitol building on January 6th.
Oh, he's bald.
Indisputable facts recorded on video, some of which has never before been seen, with the depiction of Jacob Chansley that you've seen in the media for more than 2 years. He's a terrorist, they said. He should be killed.
Shoot him. Shoot him. Like, you burst into the United States, if he was dressed like bin Laden, would you have shot him?
Shoot him.
No.
Shoot him. It makes you wonder, who are the violent extremists here? Not Jacob Chansley, and the video proves that. But you would never have known from the media coverage.
The people sitting in the chairs?
Wild. Right? You're not supposed to go into the Capitol building. Granted.
I thought you at certain times you are.
Not like that.
Yeah, not like that. Sure.
Not like that. But when you see the people taking him around essentially on a tour, that's not what I thought it was.
I just hope all the conservatives watching this realize how little appetite there is in the Republican Party for defending people like this. And thinking that Mitch McConnell or Donald Trump care about this is a delusion.
It's not even defending them. It's just forget about it. Let's look at what actually happened. We didn't know that happened.
Right.
We had a version of it where it was just chaos and the cops ran away.
And cops were murdered.
Yeah. I would have never imagined that this.
I'm shocked to see that.
That's so wild.
And like to your point that it's not a bigger story, that it's fucking Tucker who's covering this.
It's just broken. And I think people are starting to pay attention to it now.
I don't think it's broken. I think it's by design. I think it's by design. It's not an accident.
No, I mean it just broke. I mean like.
Oh yeah. Okay, story just broke
got out in the
yeah.
world. I think it's really recent, and so I think people are just starting to recognize that it's not what you thought it was. It's not good to get in. It's not good, but they did clearly. You want to peacefully protest, you do it outside. You don't ever go into the fucking Capitol building. If someone smashes his door, don't enter behind it.
I don't see how not having him under house arrest wouldn't be infinitely preferable to putting him in jail, which is cheaper. Stay in your house.
And they're putting him in jail for 4 years.
Yeah, like what? Who's that? He's not violent.
For going on a tour.
There's no concern that he's going to kill someone or assault a crowd.
Yeah. He pled guilty. Of course he did.
Of course he pled down.
If he doesn't plead guilty, they give him 25 years.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he was guilty. He was there.
Yeah,
he was trespassing.
100% guilty. He definitely should be. There should be some kind of punishment for doing that to make sure that people don't do that.
Well, wouldn't it be better if he did actually community service and help the community?
Yes, clean up. Go fucking clean up garbage
clean up.
somewhere.
Yeah, go clean up the mall.
Yeah.
Like do that for like 4 years. Every weekend you have to go to the mall, clean up broken glass. Fine.
The problem is like with those kind of protest things, man. The mob has a mind of its own, and if you're in that mob and you just follow along with it, and all of a sudden they have your fucking
But
face.
that didn't even seem like the mob because it wasn't like they were knocking shit, pulling off of walls.
But that's also selective, right?
Sure, of course.
This is the thing. They're showing us only the good stuff. If we wanted to watch all of it, I think there's some insane amount of hours of footage, and this has only been recently released. So who knows what else we can see.
I think it's just very sad that we had these big hearings for a long time, and they must have had this footage, and they sat on it.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And I feel bad for those people because they were duped.
Yeah,
they really thought that like Trump had their back, and this is okay, and we're America, like the whole little narrative.
I also feel bad for people like that guy saying, shoot him.
Why?
Because now if he sees this video, he's going to realize like, oh.
No, he won't.
I was misinformed.
No way.
You don't think so?
He will double down. He will absolutely double down.
Really?
100%.
Capitol Police Chief blasts Tucker Carlson over misleading January 6 footage. Video aired by Carlson showed QAnon shaman Jacob Chansley accompanied by police, but not violence, on the day rioters stormed the Capitol. And so what is he saying about it being misleading?
Fox spokespeople didn't respond to comment when asked.
Claimed by Carlson that Capitol Police served as tour guides for Jacob Chansley. The horn-wearing QAnon shaman was outrageous and false, manager wrote. He said that the Capitol Police were badly outnumbered on January 6th and that those officers did their best to use de-escalation tactics to try to talk rioters into getting each other to leave the building. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense, but that's still not the same.
Why are they opening doors for him?
That's still not the same narrative because is that de-escalation tactics? Saying, yeah, you can see it, take a look at it, but you guys got to leave.
Well, I was looking at it. I thought maybe that they were taking him out, not in handcuffs, obviously, which maybe they should have if they thought he did bad. But leading him out of the building. That's why
Yeah.
the one cops didn't react. Like he's taking him out. Maybe they're looking for an exit.
But it seemed like they were looking for an entrance because
but-
he was saying that he gave thanks to the police officers for letting them in.
It seemed very clear also that there was no possibility that he was going to be violent toward them. Like they were
definitely
not
didn't seem
clearly
violent.
in fear of their
No.
lives or that he was going to swing on them or anything like that.
No, not at all. I mean, they were talking to him.
Yeah.
He thanked them. He gave a prayer and thanked them.
It's a very unfortunate thing. 4 years is no joke. 4 years.
It's a long fucking time. It's a long time to be locked up.
Carlson says they checked with the Capitol Police before airing the video.
He said, "We're happy to say their reservations were minor, and for the most part, they were reasonable." Capitol Police spokesman Tim Barber said that we repeatedly request that any clips be shown to us first for a security review. So far, we have only been given the ability to preview a single clip out of the multiple clips that aired. So they didn't show them all of it. So they wanted...
his attorney didn't have that footage. Wow. Holy crap.
Chansley's attorney, through sentencing in November 2021, said he had been provided many hours of video by prosecutors, but not the footage which Carlson aired on Monday night. He said that he had not seen video of Chansley walking through Capitol hallways with multiple Capitol Police officers. What's deeply troubling, Watkins said Tuesday, is the fact that I have to watch Tucker Carlson to find video footage which the government has, but chose not to disclose despite the absolute duty to do so, despite being requested in writing to do so multiple times.
You can't. I'm not an attorney, but I know enough that if you're a prosecutor, you're holding evidence that could clear the defendant. That's not legal. Because discovery means you have to turn over all the evidence, not just things that will incriminate him.
It's ugly.
Wow. Can you imagine if this gets overturned? Or he gets... Wow.
Yeah. It says Carlson's program conveniently cherry-picked from the calmer moments of our over 41,000 hours of video, Manager wrote.
Yep.
The commentary fails to provide context about the chaos and violence that happened before or during these less tense moments. Well, that's fair.
Sure.
Carlson previously produced a 3-part series in 2021 called Patriot Purge on the streaming service Fox Nation, which suggested the riot was orchestrated by Antifa groups, the FBI, and other government agencies, and was a false flag operation to discredit Trump supporters. But here's the thing. The FBI was asked if they used agent provocateurs on January 6th, and they refused to answer. I'm sure you've seen that footage.
Yes.
Yeah. And they know about that guy, Ray Epps, that was on the Capitol grounds saying, we got to go in there. And people are calling him a Fed, and nothing's happened to that guy. Nothing's happened to that guy. But the guy was clearly inciting these people to do something illegal, and they know who he is.
And they have it on tape.
Yeah, they have it on tape. It's all very wild. The fact that that is a practice, that they hire people to go and rile people up to go do illegal things.
Well, look with the Gretchen Whitmer stuff.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
Is it?
No.
It's
No,
disturbing to me.
It's horrible. For people who don't know, tell everybody the story, because I've told it a million times,
Well, I don't-
just like the younger dryas impact theory.
I don't know if I have all the details exactly right, but there was this quote-unquote conspiracy to kidnap Gretchen Whitmer, who was just recently reelected as governor of Michigan, and it turned out the people who were instigating were working for the feds. Is that not correct?
14 people, 12 of them were FBI informants.
Holy crap. Okay, yeah.
So they fucking set everything up, and these people that got arrested and wound up doing time, they're like, this was all play. Like, I never really thought we were going to do it. Of course, I would say that, too, if they arrested me for trying to kidnap the governor.
Do you ever get accused of being a Fed?
No. Oh, yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure if I go
I
deep down
haven't-
the darkest... I'm called a shill for saying the earth is round. So I'm sure someone out there is calling me a Fed.
I'm at the level where I am controlled opposition, and then after that, if I get more successful, I'm going to be a psyop. So I'm looking forward to having that upgrade.
Yeah, I think I'm a useful idiot.
Oh, Lex gets called a Fed all the time.
Yeah.
Lex, are you a Fed?
I'm
No,
friends
silence.
with Mike Baker, who used
He's a spook.
used to be in the CIA.
Well, he's a real spook.
He's a nice guy.
Yeah, I know him. I know him from
I like
Fox.
him a lot. You know, so I get, like, he's my handler. People say he's my handler.
Oh, is that?
Yeah.
Why would your handler be open?
I don't know, because he's pretty fucking critical about the government sometimes, and pretty critical about, you know, the way people are handling things. But he also gives you an insight into foreign policy in a way that you're only going to get from someone who really understands
he has a very
it.
good sense of humor. I really enjoy him.
He's a great guy. Like a genuinely good guy, and fucking honest and about some stuff. I'm sure he doesn't.
Of
tell
course,
me
he
something.
can't.
Can't.
No, but I've talked to him about stuff, and he's like stuff off the record that's like his little operations, and it's like, okay, this is what we did. You know,
Yeah.
this is what I could tell you.
Yeah. But when he talks about foreign policy, it's from an educated perspective. He understands like how operations work, and I think that's a very valuable insight for people to hear it from a person like him who's served like that. Like it's a very different world, and we have this idealistic utopian view of the rest of the world.
Yeah, you're right. We have this idea that Biden and Putin are going to sit down in a room, or Biden Zelensky, and that's what's happening. That's going to be the show.
Yeah.
But if you're going to have a WWE, you have the writers, you have the meetings, all the things behind the scenes. Look at the Cuban Missile Crisis.
Yep.
It looked like we rolled them, but it's just like, because Kennedy took credit and Khrushchev had to keep his mouth shut.
Yeah. And, there's another problem that's going on right now is that they have a momentum of money running in that direction. Yeah. So that means there's immense amounts of profit. And the longer this goes on, the more profit can be raised. It's not...
And then it's the sunk cost fallacy, because it's like, well, we spent $50 billion. Are you just going to let $50 billion go to waste? All these lives lost go to waste? We got to get an ROI.
Jumped out of Afghanistan and right into Ukraine.
Yeah, you're right. And you know what else is interesting? And I'm just circling back to the whole national divorce thing. When people are like, oh, if Texas leaves, America won't ever let her go. We stopped hearing about the plight of women under the Taliban in Afghanistan, which is a real problem. Like, if you really were concerned about these humanitarian issues, that is a major, major concern. But because the narrative isn't there, it's like, screw those bitches.
Yeah, the narrative of the mistreatment of women in certain countries run by dictators is never discussed.
Right.
It's always how bad America is.
But it's also like, now that we're not there, it's like, too bad.
It's a complex chess game they're playing all over the world, and it's also being motivated heavily by money and resources, control of resources.
And power.
Power. It's all this weird game that leaders play, and we're stuck. We're stuck being a part of something that can directly have horrific consequences for everyone. Everyone.
I'm just gladdened by, and thanks to people like Jimmy Dore is a great example.
He's
Tulsi,
the best.
I love him. I was just on his show. He was on my show.
He's the best.
The idea that we should take everything coming out of DC, out of both parties, war parties, with a grain of salt.
Exactly.
And I think the fact that that's become normalized is really a great thing. If they had their druthers, we'd be in Syria by the boatloads, as one easy example.
It goes back to Eisenhower. It goes back to
Wilson.
But that speech that he gave on television.
Oh, yeah, the military-industrial complex, yeah.
That speech, to this day, my God, what did he know that he was trying to warn us about? Because this is a guy, World War II.
Right, he was the guy.
Yeah, I mean, and he's telling us that there's a fucking industry that wants to go to war, and we have to be careful of this. And now it's not even discussed.
And but now, I think now it's not even hidden.
No.
I think it's really understood that. It was really funny. It was like 1 minute it was Trump's a lunatic for talking about the deep state, and then the next day it's like, thank God we have the deep state to fight Trump, and without blinking an eye.
Right.
And I think without him in the picture, Congress people, because he in many ways is a distraction because of his huge personality, his aggression, his tweets, which I certainly enjoyed more than anyone. But without him there as either you're for Trump or you have TDS, people are like, wait a minute, there's a lot of fucked up shit going on that has nothing to do with this.
Nothing to do with it.
That's nothing to do with him.
And if Republicans were doing it, people would be up in arms.
Yes, yeah.
Up in arms. The same people that have Ukraine flags in their Twitter bio, they would be up in arms.
Can you, if Trump tried to send troops to Ukraine, forget it. It would be calls for impeachment.
So fucking captured. This country is so captured by these tribal ideologies. It's so strange. And when a person like you comes along that, a self-proclaimed anarchist, that's why people don't know what to do with you.
It's really fun.
It's weird. They don't know what to do with you. You're like, I don't think there should be any police. I don't think there should be any government.
It's
like,
also
what?
really funny because then it's like, what's your, because they can't put me in a box.
Right.
What's your real agenda? When you're saying you want Texas to be independent, what do you really mean? I'm like, I want Texas to be independent. Okay, but is it for Israel? Is it for China? Is it because this, because that? Because you're really a Democrat? It's like, okay. Whatever answer bothers you most is what I tell them.
You're really a Democrat.
Oh, I get that a lot. You're friends with Blair. You're clearly a Democrat. That's the logic. That's literally the logic.
Isn't she red?
Yeah, but she's trans, so she's a Democrat.
Oh my God.
This is the thinking.
Yeah. Hilarious.
It's
anybody who doesn't believe trans people should be trans, like no one should be trans, you got to meet Blair White. And you go, oh, well, okay.
Good luck meeting her. She's not very friendly.
Oh, I like her. She's friendly to me.
I know, but me and her spend way too much time.
But you know what I'm saying?
I know exactly what you're saying.
The people that don't think that, it's like that's part of the problem that I have with some people on the right. It's like when it gets to like LGBTQ people, especially like gay marriage and stuff, like, why do you give a fuck? Like, what are we doing?
Well, Deborah So talks a lot about this in her book, At the End of Gender, and where she talks about, like, for a lot, because the argument is, well, they're all crazy. It's like, okay, sure, but what are you going to do with the so-called crazy person? And So talks in her book, like, for a lot of people, they grow out of it, but for a lot of them, transitioning actually does help their mental health.
Yeah, for people that are transitioning, there's a fucking spectrum just like everything else. But I'm talking about gay people and gay marriage. Like, for people that oppose that, that's just nuts. Like, if you really don't think that people are gay and you think they should just, like, not give in to that instinct.
Wait, you think that? I don't think that's a thing anymore.
Oh, they think that for sure.
Who says that?
There's plenty of people that are Christian that think that it's just, like, there's temptations to murder and I don't murder. You know?
Well, if
there's people that really think that.
If you're tempted to go suck dick, more power to you. Like, that's not...
I don't think it's just a temptation.
yeah.
I think it's a deep desire. But if you talk to some of them, they do not think that you should engage in that. It's actually a conversation that I had with Ben Shapiro, like, about gay people. He just doesn't think you should do it.
I mean, he's married, to his credit, so, like, if you're not having to have those urges.
But, I mean, he has friends that are gay and married. Like, he's friends with Ruben, who's gay
I
and
asked
married.
Ruben about this on my show, and he's like, I'm like, dude, how can you invite someone to a wedding and to know that they're sitting there judging you, right? And he's like, look, there's a ceiling to my friendship. Like, at a certain point, I realized, okay, I can't completely integrate this guy into my life. And that was a fair answer. I thought that was a good answer.
Yeah.
I'm officiating a wedding this weekend. Paul and Erica in Arizona, who are just two close friends of mine. I adore them both.
Did you become an ordained minister?
No, but I am. Joe, do you know how hard it's going to be for me to not get down on one knee from the officiating stand and propose to one or both of them on the spot? So I'm saying it here so I don't have to do it in real life, because I am so close to doing it.
Yeah, don't ruin their day. It's their big day, buddy.
I mean, you knew it was a snake when you picked it up.
Keep the lights on. You know that expression?
No.
It's okay to have a snake in the room as long as you have the lights on.
Is that it? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm officiating another wedding later in this year for Josh and Zoe, and I'm going to have to point out to Josh that, she's got a kid. Well, they have a kid together. I mean, this is like a fake wedding because they couldn't get married during COVID. But have you ever officiated a wedding?
Yes, I did.
Isn't it so fun?
Yeah, it was fun.
It's such an honor to me.
Yeah, I became an ordained minister online.
I think I might have to do that. Whatever they need, I'll do. But
it's easy. Just fill out a form.
For the University Life Church, whatever that is.
Something like that. Yeah, one of them weird ones. Maybe I'm in a cult. I don't even know about it. Might have been Landmark. Did it turn you into a priest?
It's a rabbi.
Turned you into a monk. What can I be?
I mean,
what kind of could you get a monk to marry you? Like, what kind of people can marry you?
I think anyone can marry you.
Right, but I mean, like, isn't there like a religious, like a Catholic priest clearly can marry you,
right?
But can a monk marry you?
Yes, I can. If I could marry you,
they could. Right.
Yeah,
right. Just because they could, but it's not like a thing where you don't have to get a license, or you don't have to become ordained.
Well, I think if you're a member of an organization that's ordained, probably carries over. That's
how
do
they
it
do it
works.
in Scientology.
They tell you who you're marrying.
That the most gangster thing that Scientology ever did is achieve tax exempt status.
It's just hitting me. I still can't believe that we spent like 5 minutes on Landmark and you read the whole proposal.
Seems like a good organization.
I'm gonna.
I hope they do well with people.
Screw your comedy show. I'm gonna go check out Landmark.
Seems like they have some good ideas. I'm waiting for the cult part. What's the part that's bad?
What's the downside?
What is the downside?
I'm happier. I have more friends. My
Sounds
career's
like
thriving.
You're looking at your life in a very positive way. Why is that bad?
What the problem is?
Well, that's the thing. Like, even like if you think about that, like someone making an organization like that, let's not say Landmark, let's not even talk about them, but someone who espoused very similar ideals about how to live your life, you'd be like, oh, that's a really good path to follow. Seems smart. Maybe I should align myself with them.
Yeah. Like, what was her name? Marianne Williamson. Who have you ever had her on?
No. Is
she
the presidential candidate?
Yeah. I read her book, The Politics of Love, because I did an article about it. I kind of think she's just great. She had this piece in her book that really kind of kicked my ass in terms of just, this is really great information. She has this thing called A Course on Miracles, so you can imagine.
Oh, boy.
But she used to teach it in the 80s in LA, and like all her audience is gay. And they're dropping like flies from AIDS, right? And she's trying to give them hope, and it's like, Marianne, Ms. Williamson, we're all dying. And she goes, okay, I'm not telling you it's going to be cured tomorrow. What if it's like diabetes? What if you have to live with it all your life and they cut off your foot and then your eyes pop out? Is that so bad? Is that so impossible? And when you put it in those terms, it's like, okay, this is something I can actually hope for. It becomes less of a miracle and more of like a managed, realistic hope.
Wasn't that a book, A Course in Miracles?
I'm sure she had a book too, yeah.
But there was a book that was written by someone who claimed that, I think they claimed they were channeling. Was that A Course in Miracles? There was a book that I remember in the 90s. A bunch of people were trying to I think I wound up buying one because a bunch of people were like telling people to go get it. It's changed my life. Like one of those, I was like, what is it? Is that the book? A Course in Miracles. 1976 book by Helen Schumann.
This must be it, yeah.
Underlying premise is that the greatest miracle is the act of simply gaining a full awareness of love's presence in a person's life. So Schumann said the book had been dictated to her word for word via a process of inner dictation from Jesus Christ. Yeah, that's what it is.
There it is.
So that book became like a super popular book with like alternative thinking people that were looking for some sort of religious thing to
that new agey stuff.
Yeah, like I'm not into religion, but I'm into this. It's spiritual.
Yeah.
I'm not into religion, but I'm into spirituality thing. Yeah, but remember Bill Hicks was into that book.
Was he really?
Mm-hmm.
I'd never guessed that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I knew one of his ex-girlfriends who told me that was like something that he read. I think he maybe even talked about it in an interview too. But it was it had a blue cover on it, and everybody was passing it around. It was like the thing in the 90s.
Huh.
But then it kind of died off. I never hear about it anymore.
Miracle over.
Is that the same lady who just announced she's going to be president?
Yeah, that's Mary Wilson. Yeah.
That's her. Right. So is she reading based on that book? A Course in Miracles. Yeah.
Oh, I thought she originated
Inspiring
that. Okay.
Teachings on A Course in Miracles. Yeah, so she's basing it
on that book. Okay.
This book that was, but it was dictated by Jesus Christ, so it must be good.
Well, yeah, he's really good at his stuff.
Well, he went through a lady in the 70s.
Yeah.
Yeah, he came back for a little bit, but just through her.
Just checking in.
Just one more book. I think maybe people are getting the wrong impression of some of the stuff that I wrote 2,000 years ago.
He didn't write any of it. It was all hearsay.
Oh, that's right.
So it's like, listen, Luke's a good guy, but come on, let me give you from the first person perspective.
And I didn't really die. I was just like hiding. I just wanted to take a break.
I
said, I'm dead.
I was a peekaboo champion, hide and seek champion.
I just went. I was like, I just need a break. Do a little silent time. I need a little
alone
some me
time. Jesus needs some me time, okay?
Dude, it's already 5:16.
Oh, crap.
Get the fuck out of here. I got a comedy club to open.
Yes, sir.
Hold the book up. Let everybody know. It's available right now.
.com.
The White Pill by Michael Malice. Is it available in audio form as well?
Yes, sir.
Did you do the narration?
Of course I did.
Of course you did. I knew it.
Yes, sir.
Couldn't.
When you want, I like it when the book is read by the author.
Oh, I love it. I hate it when an actor reads someone and you could tell they don't really give a fuck
especially if you know the author's voice, like their literal voice.
Exactly. Like you or Jordan or something like that. You can't. Yes.
Thanks, Lex.
Yeah, we'll cut into Lex later. It seems rude to cut into him on the air.
Yeah, I guess.
Okay. All right. Appreciate you, brother. Goodbye, everybody.